You're listening to Ernestly Speaking, the only weekly podcast that covers friends, foes, and anything that goes. And now, for your badass host, Ernest Owens. And we're back for another episode of Ernestly Speaking with your host, Ernest Owens, myself. 100. That is how many episodes of Earnestly Speaking I have done. And I can't even believe it. Like 100 episodes? I mean, the average episode is like, 2 hours? Times that by 100, that's 200 hours. That's a little over 4 days of just nonstop talking. I've given 4 full nonstop days of talking worth of a podcast. So I'm super elated. I'm so happy that, wow, 100 episodes. Talk about dedication. 2 years ago, around this time, I debuted this podcast right after the January 6th insurrection. We started this podcast, and so much has happened. It's like a full circle kind of moment almost, looking at what just happened at the house and where we're at today. It's just 2 years. 2 years of doing this podcast, 100 episodes. And that does not include the bonus episodes. Technically, we have over 100 episodes, 100 tracks, but actual full-length episodes, 100. And that is the kickoff of season 4. Season 4 starts now. Season 4 premiere, the 100th episode. And what an episode this is. Which is why I call it the explosive 100th episode, because I was really big on the fact that it is explosive. I really couldn't put any subjects in the headline, except I just had to just say it's explosive, because that's just the best way to describe the kickoff. I took a nice break, a 1 week break, and just was able to breathe and relax and enjoy. And while I was, having my nice little, break, I stumble across so much. It seems like every time I take a break or I'm relaxing and chilling, that's when everybody want to show their ass. It's like when I'm not on duty, everybody want to, cut up. It reminds me when I was younger, my mom used to always, my brothers, when she wasn't at home, we used to just, when she was in the house, it used to go down. Okay. It was like, it was a party, house party. It was crazy. And she was like, every time I'm not in the house, that's when y'all want to show y'all ass. And it's true. And it feels that way. I'm going and everybody want to cut up. So it's been a week. I'm excited about 2023. I'm really excited about 2023 for 1,000 reasons. And this year, everybody's talking about what's your New Year's resolutions. I'm not, everyone says they're not big on resolutions. I don't know if it's about resolutions. I'm grown, and I feel a sense of conviction on standing 10 toes down on what I'm doing in all aspects of my life. I said what I said, and I meant it. Or as I said the other day, I said what I said, and I fucking meant it. I think that's where I'm at right now. I'm at this place of just conviction. I think that's what we all want. I think 2023, a lot of people, I think the theme of this year is conviction. I'm seeing it with all the different things that have happened so far. There's this theme of people just not playing the okie doke. I think everyone's kind of at this point where they're like, look, it is what it is. We're showing you who we are. I'm telling you what I'm doing. And that's it. And that's it. I think passivity and the passiveness of the yesteryears, I think people are over that now. I think we're getting beyond passiveness. And those who are in that same vein, trying to play cutesy and play diplomatic and all that type of bullshit, I think those people are getting dated. I think those people are falling back more in 2023. That's my forecast. I think that bold convictions are going to be, whether for good or for bad, I think declarations are going to be more pronounced this year. And we're seeing it already. I think we're in this space now where we're recognizing that, the pandemic, because that's when this podcast was birthed, during the pandemic. the early stages when vaccinations were first coming out. Remember that? We're at a stage now where I think people are really calling out the bullshit. This is a transformative year. In Philadelphia, we're going to get a brand new mayor or a mayor who may come back. Who knows, right? Look at this house. Look at how we're talking about music and art. I just think this is a very bold year, and a lot of it has to do with, I think, people being tired of just the same status quo, script by script, line by line. There's a lot of that showing. So that's my forecast. That's what I'm thinking. We got a little bit of a hint of it in 2022, but I think 2023 is going to be the year when we're going to start seeing more boldness, for better or for worse. But yeah, I mean, for starters, let me back up from the last time we did the podcast. First of all, loved you all and your thoughts and your messages to me about the finale, season 3 finale, with my special guest, my younger brother, who had a good time on the podcast. And so many of you all had talked about some of the inside jokes and things that happened in that episode. It was fun. And I mean, if I was going to be at home, you gotta bring it with you. So it was dope. He had a good time. He had fun. He has some talent. I think he's interested in doing a podcast down the road for himself. But he's a cishet man. So I gotta tell him, I'm like, listen, don't you be on there doing some Joe Budden shit. Cause I'm your big brother. I will cancel you before the rest of the world cancels you, okay? We're not doing Joe Budden in 2023. I never did them, period. But we're just not. Don't be the angry man on the podcast. So no, the episode was really good. Everyone was asking me about my air travel situation, and the good thing is that I had no problems. My flight went without a hitch. I rode United. Traditionally, I'm an American Airlines person. I have my AA Advantage, points and all that, but we did United because it was a situation with the time. I think the American Airlines departure was a little bit later, and this and the third, I think. And so we did American to get to Houston, and then we did United to get out of Houston. We never did Southwest. I haven't done Southwest in, goodness, I don't remember the last time I did Southwest. It had to be over 10 years ago when I was going to Houston in college. So I never was really into Southwest like that. I never did, because I also heard that they don't allow you to do assigned seats. Like you can't, schedule your own seat or something like that. And I just was like, nah, that's not feasible for me. So I hadn't wrote it, but I heard all these stories about people, getting, stuck, flights being canceled. It was chaos. And a lot of people were just checking up on me and everything. But no, let me tell you, this is my new airline policy. We're only riding American, Delta, United in that order. We are doing non-stops only. We're not doing any crossovers. I'm personally not traveling internationally unless there's like a big bag across the Atlantic. Personally, I'm not really crazy about traveling abroad right now because I've heard so many horror stories with the whole testing and all this. There was a woman I was speaking to last week, and she said that, I think she said she went to Spain or something. And in route to Spain back to the U.S., there was a situation where some areas that she was going to in Europe did not require testing to go to board the plane, and some did and some didn't. And somehow she got on one side when she was leaving, and they told her that she couldn't board the plane because she needed to provide a COVID test, and she didn't even know. And it was a whole crazy situation. I think it was Italy or Spain, one of them. But it was just like, I was like, oh, that couldn't be me. Because once I'm ready to leave somewhere, I'm ready to leave. So I'm pretty much not really doing international unless there is like a out of this world experience, but just personally vacationing abroad, I'm just not personally doing it. What else did I? Oh, nonstop. And I'm also doing priority on rides. So priority meaning, um, it's not necessarily first class, but it's just that you're the first to go up to board, to put your luggage up, to sit down, and also sitting in comfortable, spacious areas, picking my seats, sitting by the window, all of those types of things. I'm going to be doing heavily. I already was doing already, but really these are non-negotiables. Like I'm doing nonstop domestically. That's not a debate. If I have to leave early, if I have to do whatever I got to do, I'm not going to, I'm not doing that. So when I heard about Southwest, also, I'm picking my seats. Like, I'm not letting anyone pick my seats. That's just not happening. These are the things that I was really big on. Pre-check, TSA pre-check. We both have it in this household. I don't play with it. I highly recommend people get pre-check. Now, I must say, it seemed like a lot of people are getting pre-check now because the pre-check line is still starting to feel like the regular line. But to be honest, it still isn't, because during the holidays, I just feel like it's just when I look at how many people miss flights based off of long delayed lines at the regular check-in, I had a situation like 3 years ago where I was at a convention, and was it three? No, it was like 4 years ago. It was when I went to Miami for NABJ convention, and I remember almost missing my flight because of how long it was to get out of checkout. And I remember the lady was telling me, "Hey, have you heard of pre-check?" And she gave me the pamphlet, and I was like, "Look, say less." Never had that problem again. So I really recommend pre-check in general. Plus, you don't have to take off your shoes and all the extra stuff that they make you do elsewhere, because they kind of already have you cleared or whatnot. So that's a bonus, in my opinion. So I had no problems overall. I'm grateful for my trip. I'm really happy that I made it back safely and I didn't have any delays or any schedules and things like that. So those are my tips for travel. But I made it in time for my New Year's Eve party, which we had at our lovely abode, and it was nice. We had about nine of us were there all together. It was great. Miss Dawn, she catered up a good New Year's Eve party. We had all the good trimmings, all the good food. It was a great time. We ate. Okay, we had a time that night. Bottles were popping. It was lovely. Just all around good vibes and good people, and it was lovely. It was a really good time. I made a charcuterie board, which I was super excited about. I made my first ever like big, huge, like over the top charcuterie board. Now, I've made them in the past, but they used to be like mini for just myself and Mr. Johnson. But this was one that was like for, like, again, feeding 9 people. So it was like a big, I had a huge cutting board, and then I had two other sideboards, because first of all, I wanted to make it look pretty, but I'm all about that touching. You got cured meats. It's one thing for meats and cheese to touch each other, but when you got the fruits, you're adding, like, olives and things. It can get a little messy. So I had like these like really great salted almonds. I had prosciutto, salami. Uh, there was another one I had on there: prosciutto, salami, um, and then I also had pepperoni. I think I had pepperoni on there. I had like 3 different cheeses. I had the goat brie cheese, the cheddar cheese, cheese cubes, cheese slices, olives. I had um, chocolate covered figs. I had some strawberries and some blackberries. I had a honey spread with honey in a cherry sour spread, and a fig spread that was really divine. I had like about 7 different types of crackers. It was round stretches. I mean, I had all types of crackers on there. Um, I'm trying to think what else. I had all types of little fun little trinkets all throughout the table, and it was beautiful. It was divine, and they ate. Listen, they ate that up. Okay, they tore that up. They was not playing any games. Okay, I was like, wow, you know, I just, it was just, that was some good eating. And then Miss Dawn, of course, she killed it. I had a special request. I said specifically to her that I wanted to get, I wanted fried chicken. I had fried chicken wings, collard greens, mac and cheese, the baked mac and cheese, and baby shower meatballs. Now, someone looked at me and was like, "What are baby shower meatballs?" I mean, this is a black thing. Like black folks, y'all know me. There is a certain like there's okay, so there's meatballs for pasta, and there's meatballs for like I guess other dining. But baby shower meatballs, I call them that. I don't think that's like the term, but when you go to a baby shower or I don't know what other type of party, like somebody's someone grandma's birthday party or some wedding, sometimes wedding showers, there is a certain type of meatball that is served. And that is what I wanted. It's got this, it's not a big, huge meatball and it's not stuffed with breadcrumbs. It's not meant to go on spaghetti. It's a certain type of meatball that just works for that type of vibe. It's not overwhelming. It's not a huge ass meal. It's meant to just be served as an appetizer. And those are the meatballs I requested. And she delivered because she knew what I wanted. And it was phenomenal. So I had a good time. New Year's was very chill. We didn't really go out. I mean, since the pandemic, I've been very like, RSV, what's the RSV, or all that stuff is just circulating, or RVS or whatever. I can't even keep up with all the acronyms at this point. All of these things are spreading. It's still flu season. We also have, I don't know. They said there's been an uptick in COVID cases. Fortunately, I have not had COVID. And so I'm going to knock on my wooden table because I've made it through. I've truly have made it through without having to experience that. And I'm very fortunate, for good medicine and just keeping myself up to speed. It's been truly a blessing. But for those who are still going out there, right? Who have to go out, you know, just keep that hand sanitizer, keep that mask. I still wear a mask. First of all, let me just say this: when I went to the airport, oh yeah, a mask was on me, like nobody's business. I don't play with masks. It's shocking that people are still going to the airport without a mask. I don't know I don't think I will never not wear a mask for the rest of, for at least for the time being at an airport. Naomi Campbell was trying to tell us many years ago. She don't play. Naomi Campbell don't play when it comes to airports. If you haven't heard about this, go on YouTube and put in Naomi Campbell prepares to go to the airport. Her whole process, and this is before the pandemic. She knew. She knew. She knew. And people thought she was just so, pedantic, very, just obsessive and compulsive. But Naomi Campbell, you got to give that woman props. She was ahead of her game. I seriously, if you have not seen this video or you haven't seen her, she travels international. She was traveling international a lot. And it's just, the video is just, it's, you laugh, but you like, hell yeah. And I remember seeing this before the pandemic and just being like, wow, okay. I was like, maybe it's, people was like, oh, she's a diva. And I was like, it's kind of dope. I didn't think much of it. But then after the pandemic, it became a thing. Like, it became viral and everybody was talking about it. And listen, I'm not bringing my own cleaning utensils and scrubbing down seats, but I do carry some wipes. I definitely keep me some Lysol wipes. I do all of that. But, I just think people have forgotten the importance of sanitation, in this era. So, it's always important. But this week I had a lot of fun. It was a lot of catching up. I mean, first of all, it's my senior lit brother, George Banks turned 36. He's the oldest in the four of us in our squad. I'm the second oldest. I'm 31. And then, of course, our other little brother, Josh, is about to turn 31. And then Jamarcus is the baby of the group. He is 30, and he turns 31 July 4th. And Josh turns 31 January 11th, the day after my mother's birthday. Yes, all these Capricorns. And then my bestie Amanda, her birthday is on Friday 13th. Guess who's playing Jason, right? No party on that day, but we're having a party this upcoming weekend. But all these Capricorns in my life, it's just wild. So George was up first. George turned 36. We had a lovely party. He had a brunch party at the Twisted Tail, which I love. It was a brunch party with like unlimited mimosas, open bar. We had the food popping. We was upstairs at the private space. We had a nice crowd of people. He had a lot of people come through. It was a lot of love. And it was just fabulous. They had a really great cake. Um, from this black woman who makes cakes in that area. And Twisted Tail was dope. It was so funny. When Jamarcus and I was headed to the party, we looked at the area and it's like this cobblestone area around South Street. And we kept laughing, saying it looks like we're in London because everything was just brick. It was so much exposed brick, that whole area. And if you've ever been in that area, you know what I'm talking about, South Street. It's the far end of South Street, not the main street, but the far back tail end. Everything is cobblestone. Everything is exposed brick. And so we kept laughing about like how everything looked like a English pub vibe. So and even the Twisted Tail kind of looked like that. It was like we're in London. Um, but it was fun. It was a great party. Everybody came out for him, and he's the best. So it was wonderful to celebrate his birthday. Also, a good mentor of mine named Reggie Shuford, who is a longtime civil rights attorney and civil rights leader, to be honest. He served as the president of the ACLU Pennsylvania. He's now relocating back to North Carolina, which is his birthplace. He's actually going to be, he's from Wilmington, I believe. Wilmington, North Carolina, but he's going to be in Raleigh. He has a new position, top position, working on economic racial justice, and he's doing some really great stuff. And he had his farewell party in Philly at Attico, which I hadn't been at Attico in a minute, but Attico was cute. It was cute. It was a big part. There's a lot of people. It was a lot of people up in there, okay? And it was nice to see some familiar faces, and it was also some familiar faces in there I hadn't seen in a minute. And I really didn't want to see their faces, but I was like, look, I'm here to celebrate my homie. I'm here to, do the farewell. I'm gonna keep it cute. It's so funny because every time it's a particular person I'm talking about. See there, here I go. Here he go. Y'all about to here he go. The person I saw, they used to be in Philly for a minute, then they, went to New York and then they, came back to Philly to pop up every blue moon and I just be sitting there like, why is she here? But I was just in this mindset, like, you know, it's so funny. Like, it's been so many years since me and this person have spoken to each other. We didn't speak to each other at this event either. But they definitely saw me, but they unsaw me. You know how that goes? Like, they see you, but they don't see you, kind of thing. And I wasn't going to say anything to them because I have nothing to say to them. So it was just like we were just in the space. But it was kind of interesting because Reggie is a proud black gay man, and the most of the crowd was like the elite of the LGBTQ community in Philadelphia. So you probably might be know who I'm talking about. I'm not going to confirm nor deny unless you get in my DMs and you ask me, and then I'll say yes, that's who I'm talking about. But I'm not going to say it on my podcast. I won't give her any more attention than her attention-seeking ass has already gotten. So it was an interesting party, but a good party. Let me be clear. The drinks were flowing. The food was phenomenal. I mean, it was a good time to be had. So I had no complaints about that. But it's very interesting um, to just see how the world works, how the time turns. How as the world turns, as they say. It was interesting to just see some of those people. Some people doing good, doing better. Some people not so much. But history always reveals itself in the end, which is why I love the song Karma by Taylor Swift off of her new album, Midnights. Sidebar, my new nails are inspired by that album. Yes, I'm now doing inspired nails. I just love nails. I love getting my nails done. So these nails that you all saw, it's, people are like, oh, they're purple. No, baby, they're lavender haze, like the song. And also, Meet Me at Midnight. It's got that midnight color that I love. And it's something different. Normally, I do like the glitter and gold and silver. But I said I want to do something different. I just wanted to try something different. It's January. There's no like major red carpet events or anything I'm going to this month. But I just said this is like the perfect vibe. And plus my book cover is like this color too. So I just thought it was regal, classy. It's got like a sparkle. I've been doing powder dip. And so, yeah. But anywho, love these nails. Sidebar, shout out to my girl over there, my girl V over there at Lux Nails, University City. Get them done, y'all. Shout out. But anywho, I love that song Karma off of that album Midnights by Taylor Swift because it just speaks to me right now. That song, that album speaks to me. I know my friends get tired of me and my Taylor Swift supremacy, but I just think that people who do not understand her music are just not listening. They're not listening. They're so busy looking for like vocals. Let me be clear, and we're gonna talk about vocals later. We're gonna get on that vocals. Everything ain't gotta be vocals. Sometimes you don't want to hear vocals. Sometimes you just want to sit your ass down and just hear lyrics that just speak to you. As long as the hook is good. Every time I don't want to always hear, a ballad. I don't always want to hear like top tier vocals. That's why I love Rihanna. We gotta have a world where Rihanna exists, y'all. It can't just be other people, you know. Sometimes it's just nice to just it's a mood. You gotta be in a certain mood. And let me be clear. At George's party, we played Renaissance, the full album from beginning to end. It's an incredible album as well. But you gotta be, let me say something about that album though. It's actually was funny. This is, I have to say, this might have surpassed B Day as my favorite Beyonce album. I think I can finally say that. This is my favorite Beyonce album. I have to say this is her best album. Just sidebar. I just realized that. Like this is, and maybe because she made it for me. I know a lot of women did not like. Well, there are some women who like Renaissance, but some people didn't like it. Some of the straights didn't like it. Beyonce made this for black gay men and the women who love them, and that's just what it is. And there might be some cishet men who like this album too. It's okay. We got a couple of them that's liking and appreciating it too. Just like the way y'all appreciate Fantasia When I See You, which is an unsolved mystery, but I get it because I also secretly like Fantasia like that. So I understand the whole When I See You situation. There are certain songs by women that cishet men, everybody, that men be liking or low that you just don't understand. That's one of them songs. I don't know what it is, but it takes us to a certain place, especially millennials. Um, but Renaissance do that for people. But I do like sometimes just experiences, and I just appreciate Taylor Swift's vulnerability. And I don't know, I find parallels of her experiences to mine in some way. She can write a song, and maybe she's talking about Chad and white boys and some drama with a Karen, but in my mind, I'm looking at it a whole different way. Um, it just works a different way. I don't know. I cannot explain the fandom. I should probably write about it one day. But there are songs she's written, and the way I've interpreted them and how they play in my life, I know that's not the life she lives. But for some reason, she has found a way to make songs. That's just good songwriting. She's an incredible songwriter. She can find a song, and the song can be something different. So there's a song called "Ready for It" off of her album Reputation, which is underrated. That album's under. I know people hate it. It's polarizing, but I appreciate Reputation. I appreciate the mood because again, I was in that mood too. I was angry too. I wanted to fuck shit up too. So I appreciated it. But there's certain stuff where I know she's talking about something else, and we're not even gonna talk about folklore because folklore was like my pandemic soundtrack. So, but enough praise. I just wanted to get that out there. That yes, I don't even know what I was talking about. The nails, inspiration, karma. Yes, karma is my boyfriend. Karma is a cat, like she said in the song. I don't have a cat, but see, my homegirl Amanda, she has a cat named Four. See, there you go. She likes cats too. Y'all can, I digress. But anywho, I appreciated it. I appreciated all of it. And Reggie's party was incredible, and it was nice to just be in the room and see some folks up in there seethe and take it in. Um, yeah. So I went to a new sushi restaurant. My first new restaurant of 2023. I gotta get used to saying 2023. I don't know if people notice it. Have y'all been having to change dates and stuff? Like I've been doing all my invoices and stuff, and I'm having to remind myself that I gotta change all the years of 2023. I remember when I used to be in school and when I was younger, and I used to have to write the dates, and I used to remember having I'm not in 2007 anymore, it's 2008, I have to put the right date. That's how I'm feeling with some of this stuff. I have to remember to just make sure I get all the years, the new year right. But there was this new restaurant that I like. It's a sushi spot And I've heard people say some things about it, and I just want to defend it because I think people sometimes do the most. So this place is called Cura Revolving Sushi Bar. It's like around 17th and Chestnut where American Eagle used to be. And y'all know I love me some American Eagle. American Eagle is still in Philly. It's in the Fashion District, the Gallery, y'all. But this location is now the sushi spot. It's a chain. It's all across the country. It's in other locations, but this is the first one that's in like the center city Philadelphia area. And what's dope about it is that it's pretty much customary, like your entire experience. You don't really get food served to you by servers for the most part. There's a revolving conveyor belt that is putting all this sushi. The chefs are putting the sushi on the conveyor belt, and all of this sushi is being rotated, covered. Let me be clear: all the food is covered. It's highly sanitary, very sanitized. And the sushi is going around various pieces of sushi, different types. Tempura, you got the rolls, you got the everything else. So you got all this sushi going around this conveyor belt, and also some side dishes too, like some other things like edamame and watermelon. They had all these other things. Dessert was on their cheesecake, a creme brulee, but they're all in these sizes. And most of the sushi pieces all cost the same, around the same price. So that was good. And you're buying it by pieces. So you get like about you're buying like getting like one or two pieces or something like that. So you're not buying these huge rolls, which I think is good because if you go to sushi spots with friends, let's say you want to buy a roll, the person you're with, they may only want like two pieces of that roll or whatever, but they charge you by a couple of the pieces, and the pieces are very inexpensive. They're not that high. It's very customary. It's very adjustable, in the sense that the prices are accessible. It's cool. It's fun. And then the second it's two. So the other conveyor belt, which is on top of the sushi one, is all the fast hot food items. So if you want like fried rice and dumplings and things like that, that one comes, and those of course cost a different price compared to the sushi. And so I went there, tried it out for lunch, loved it. There's a robot that serves you drinks that comes to your table. Is really they're really friendly, and they serve you like drinks that you order. And you make your order on this little screen that's next to your table, and you place all your own orders. And for any drinks, any hot dishes, those are served directly to you, and it's all done, automatically. I know it's giving dystopian, you know, 1984 Orson, it's giving those type of vibes. But it was actually pretty dope. I really liked it. I loved it. I thought it was fun. It's affordable. I think I spent around like under like around roughly $30 maybe. But I got a lot of sushi. I had different entrees. It was fun. It was a cute little lunch. It's something a cute little like if you want to go on a date night on a budget, y'all like look, we ain't trying to like go fancy, but we also want to have something cute and memorable. I think it's somewhere to go like that. I definitely think my younger brother who goes to Temple is going to love this place when he gets back from his break. I can see him going with his girlfriend there. He has a girlfriend. Okay, sidebar. The girl he was with in high school broke up with her, met a new girl at Temple. Now they together. Cute black girl. She's so sweet. I'm a fan. I'm a huge fan. Sidebar. But yeah, I think the food. I think he will love it. I think they will love it. I think it is definitely a spot that grown folks go to have fun, no fuss, no frills. Young adults, college kids, people like that. This is gonna be their spot for real, for real. I can see them taking over the night there, and I can see grown folks taking over the day there. I can see like while college students are studying in the daytime, I think that's where the folks like myself that's out of school, that's much older, that's lunch for us. I don't know if I would do a nighttime there because I do feel like a lot of younger people are going to be there, and the other folks. Let me just say that I'm going to say the other folks. So yeah, it's fun, it's cool, it's cute. I saw some review from some foodie influencer platform that was just really, I think, missing the point. They were like, I mean, first of all, if you're doing any, I don't know, this is why being a journalist matters. This is why like really studying your craft matters. There has been just this, as you all know, this huge influx for several years. And I'm gonna have to sidebar and talk about this real quick. There's been an influx of foodie influencers, and I'm friends with some, right? I have some really great friends that do it and do it well, actually, with some dignity, respect, and professionalism. But there has been this influx of a bunch of people who are like, mostly I would say white girls who are doing this, buying a bunch of Instagram followers or TikTok or whatever. Going to these restaurants. They're all under 30. Let me be clear. Most of them are under 30. They go to these restaurants, they eat this food, they, try to critique it and rate it and try to like make this their social life. And this culture initially made sense back in the day when it came to a boom, I would say, during the pandemic. Now there was always food influencers before this on social media, but the pandemic took it to another level because a lot of these restaurants are struggling. There wasn't that same PR push and budget for all these restaurants, and so these influencers or wannabe influencers, kind of sprouted during that time as a means to try to save these restaurants because all of us was on TikTok and Instagram on our phones and all that. So we were getting a lot of our food insights, some of these people on social media. And a lot of people still are, right? And so these people built this identity. But a lot of them who do this weren't doing it professionally. They were just a bunch of white girls who wanted to make a name for themselves and just try to, get some type of access to society. They were they didn't really have a real talent, right? They couldn't write, they couldn't get a job anywhere else, but they wanted to still be cool and hang out with the cool kids, I guess. So this was their way of doing it. And for a moment, it was a moment, right? It was a boom, right? These because I'm being clear, it was mostly white girls. It was not that many white guys. I don't see that many white dudes. It's not that many people of color. Like, no, there's not that many black and brown people in the food influencers. It's a bunch of young white girls, and they basically was running that scene and still are. A lot of them still are heavily involved and influencing it. So you will see them, and they're bratty. I mean, they're bratty. It's just a very much, it's giving baby Karen energy. It's very bratty. It's very spoiled. It's very entitled. It's very all of that. And because of how race dynamics play, white women's fragility, young white women's fragility, right? There is a sense that it's interesting that companies will be quick because they think that the young white girl is a target demographic for consumer things. A lot of companies and products and brands market things specifically for young white women, and everybody else has to adapt and adjust to those interests. Whether it's cosmetics, whether it's food, but white people's palate dictates it. Now, on the upscale, upbrow, it's white men. Let me be clear. But in the foodie space, it's white women's palates that shape taste in the city. And I wrote about this before this was a thing. It was called Dining While Black. I wrote it for Philadelphia Magazine a couple years ago. I think we're on the 5th anniversary coming up this summer. Been doing this for a minute, so I know what I'm talking about. But this is what shapes the palette of taste and interest in the city and food. And that's dangerous and it's problematic in various ways when you think about it, right? Especially in a city that's majority black and brown. So you see this subculture of this happening. And when it comes to cultural foods, right? Asian foods, African, Mexican, whatever, they don't have the range. And a lot of times, there's a pay to play that if it doesn't pay, they don't play. Meaning that they go to in the beginning during the pandemic, it was almost like they were treated as a godsend. Like, oh my goodness, you're saving my restaurant. You're spreading the word. I'll give you some ice cream for free. I'll give you a hot dog for free. And they would eat their way to promote and all this. But then as their prominence grew during the pandemic and their social media platforms expanded, then there was an interest for them to capitalize off of it. Then they want to go like, oh, I want to make this. I want this money. I'm demanding this. And you've seen some people do it. And not all the people that's doing it is white women. There's other women that are doing it. That's all I'm going to say. They exploit the game. And so, long story short, they do this all the time. They'll have they'll go to these restaurants and they don't have any proper etiquette. They don't understand how the business works. And so sometimes their reviews show their lack of knowledge and understanding of how the business works. And you could tell that some of it is intellectual dishonesty. Some of it just lacking the range. Some of it is just the caucasity of it all. And so in this situation, I saw a review, and this review was just talking about how this restaurant had these kinks. And they were like minor kinks that they were talking about. And they were talking about how the line was long and how it was crowded. And they were just saying these little things about it. And I was like, well, first of all, this is the opening week of the restaurant. So I'm not surprised that a lot of people are waiting. I don't know if they've done reservations yet, but I'm not surprised that there was a wait because at the end of the day, hello, this is the first opening week of this restaurant that has gotten, regional citywide press. Are you surprised? It's in Center City, right? Then there were little discussions about some of the technical kinks. I'm like, anytime you go to a restaurant for the first week, you know that the kitchen, the staff are all trying to get the flow. You can never judge a restaurant on the first week of its opening. That's the first key to any rule. If anything, you go to get a feeling, you get a sense. And so I went in that place and I said, look, this by this time next year, this place is going to be top notch. I see the potential. And I recognize that whatever kinks that there were, those are kinks that will be fixed tomorrow. You go in and the belt thing stopped at a pace, it's going to be working up and running tomorrow. This is the first week. God damn it. Like, it's just stuff like that just like annoys me. And then you go to these events, and nowadays there's some PR people, not all, but there's PR people that will mix the quote unquote influencers with media. And some of these influencer folks get a little disrespectful. This one girl asked me, what do I do? I said, who are you? It was weird. It's just like they're in this space and they don't really respect or understand the industry they're in. And I think some PR have gotten codependent and dependent on influencers to help push their products rather than actually form a meaningful relationship that explains the boundaries and the barriers. Because there's a lot of exploitation going on out there across the board. And I think 2023 is going to be the year where a lot of this is going to start shuttering down because restaurants are waking up, and I think people are starting to. We still in this pandemic, but I think the pandemic excuses, and the things that people tolerate during the pandemic, I think people are gonna do less of this year. But moving along, I'm so excited about my book, y'all. It is coming out next month. What I love the most about this journey is that throughout this podcast, from the very beginning, you all have followed me on this journey to this book from when I got the book deal to now. And we're now a month away. To be able to say my book is coming out next month, like, where did the time go? But the updates for this week is that there's been a lot of great buzz about anticipation. Everything is being talked about, and I love it. I love all of the excitement. I do feel the momentum, growing on this, and it's just delightful. It really is. It's just been nice. Every day I feel like there's some booking. We're doing a lot of booking over here. My team is booking me for interviews and different types of traveling and things. And so a lot of stuff is going to really take off, of course, with the book launch and everything in February. So that's happening, but just some upcoming media articles and news and podcasts and different stuff. I'm going to be definitely making some great appearances on some very great, some very cool places. And so you got to stay tuned, but I'm super excited about it, for real. And everybody who's been, just pre-ordering and telling their friends to pre-order or tagging me on stuff and just shouting it out and reading it and everything, just thank you so much. I always say that, but I do really mean it. Thank you for all of it, because it's not easy to write a book, especially your first book, and get it published in this type of way and, make it to this end. I'm very grateful for that, because there's been, I've heard so many tragic and horrible and scary stories about first time authors in the book world and their experiences. And I have to say that I'm very fortunate my experience was not like that. And that I was, paid in an equitable, fair, and great way. That I had a great team, and I have a great team that is working hard to make sure that my book get as much visibility as possible. I hear a lot of stories of Black and brown authors in the business who, the book just, during the midst of all the racial uprising, all these Black authors were getting book deals. Some of these places, just kind of just, said, hey, we were giving you a book deal, but just kind of didn't really give it, the type of attention or priority. And I have to say, I feel like they're treating this book like it's the great book that it's going to be and that it is. And that feels good. That feels good. So I'm just totally happy. And yeah, I mean, that's all the things for my updates. Shout out to my girl Samantha. She's an Aquarius who just who sent me this lovely basket. Oh my goodness, it was so nice. Chocolate covered strawberries, a bottle of Vive Coquette, a platter for those them chocolate covered strawberries, these other sweet treats, dark chocolate and a, a crystal champagne flute. Just such a nice romantic gift. That's my pseudo wife, but that's an inside joke. But thank you so much. It was a lovely gift, very thoughtful, and she's having a birthday coming up at the end of this month. So I have a bunch of Aquarius in my life too. Y'all will hear more about them in February. Right now it's Capricorns, the goats, so I'm not gonna get to the Aquariuses right now. There's a lot of Aquariuses in my life too, but I'm getting into my goats. So the Capricorns are having their moment. So I got to get ready for all these birthday parties. My goodness, we've already the first week of January out. Next this upcoming week is Mama, is Josh, it's Amanda. My goodness, and then the next week after that is another round. So I'm making it through. So let's get into these hot topics. There's a lot that's been going on, and I want to just acknowledge that this is the 2-year anniversary of insurrection. When a bunch of mostly white, predominantly white supremacists stormed the nation's capital, trying to avenge for Donald Trump's failure to win the presidential election in 2020. And so much has happened since then. He is still out here trying to run, and he's now announced he's running for president again. Hopefully he'll lose, which he hopefully will. And, we see Congress, we see Senate. So we'll start off with the Senate. Fetterman, got sworn in. John Fetterman. It was a moment. He's in this new movie with Christian Bale. Yes, a movie. Him and his wife, Giselle Fetterman. They're in this movie on Netflix with Christian Bale. I think it's called The Bluest Sky or something like that. And they're in it. They have a cameo appearance. And I actually watched it, and I thought it was kind of funny. It was kind of dope. And there's like a character about Edgar Allan Poe. It's a very folksy film, but it's cool. It was an interesting watch. It was just funny to see them in the movie. I was like, oh my God, that's them. And the fact that it dropped the week that he's sworn in as U.S. Senator is kind of fucking dope. So that was a highlight, to me. But I'm gonna hold on my thoughts about Congress real quick. In the gubernatorial, we now can call him Governor Josh Shapiro. Governor Josh Shapiro has already hired Al Schmidt, who was the former Republican city controller, as his Secretary of State. People have been asking me what do I think about it. I mean, y'all know who y'all elected for governor. I mean, Shapiro is gonna Shapiro. That's just how I'm gonna put it. Shapiro is gonna Shapiro. He is a moderate as they come. And hey, we don't have that crazy guy that he was running against, Mastriano. Okay, we don't got Doug, but we also don't have, Stacey Abrams either, right? We don't have that, we don't have that energy here. We don't have a Patrick Duvall, who I just love. We don't have a Wes, oh my God, a Wes Moore in Maryland. Can we get him over here in Pennsylvania, please? Like, we don't have that here. So we have to take what we can get. And Look, Shapiro's there. He's gonna do what he's gonna do. He's gonna always have that centrist, tough on crime, moderate vibe because he's that guy. He's a white man. He's a straight white man who wants to play in the middle. I think it's going to be interesting. I'm still processing him as governor. I'm not. Let me be clear. I'm not saying that he's not competent. He can be governor. I think he could definitely do the job. I just don't think he's going to be. I just think he's just the toe guy. He's the toe in the middle. It's just no excitement. And all those black folks, who worked on his campaign and tried to sell him to people. I just said, look, Doug Mastriano was the devil. That's all I needed to know to vote for him. But outside of that, he ain't the homie like that to me. I mean, and clearly, State Senator Shreve Street agrees. When I saw the drama, I mean, let me tell you, there was a lot of things that kind of had me side eyeing Shapiro. Now that he's governor, I can talk a little bit because I try when I see races like that. I try not to. I know how important these elections are, and I try not to, equivocate the dumb shit that one candidate do to another. Because we saw that with Hillary and Trump. So I reserved a little bit of my thoughts about Shapiro during the election because I didn't want folks to interpret that as, wow, they're both bad. Nah, Doug was bad. But Shapiro ain't no saint either. And I think that's where I come from with it. And so when I saw a lot of people in his camp that was trying to oversell him, I was like, listen, you don't got to oversell me. He's going against Doug Mastriano, period. Okay? Now, I have fun voting for Fetterman. I had fun voting for Fetterman in the primary and in the general. We knew Dr. Oz was trash. But even during the primary, I just felt like it was obvious to me that Fetterman was going to be a better option. And he is, and he has been. And I'm excited to see what he does in the U.S. Senate. But with Shapiro, though, for me, one thing that stood out to me that I thought was messy that he did and could have caused a real rift was Sharif Street going for the Pennsylvania Democratic Committee, State Committee chair seat. And then they put Jerry Lawrence, and Shapiro was trying to push this coalition and this ticket. And I understood Shapiro's argument that no elected official should serve in that chair seat. However, we're talking about a black man. We're talking about somebody who, is the alternative in this, and somebody that really has busted his ass and, has made concessions for his Democratic Party so that there had to be some giveaway, some give and take. I mean, let's be clear. Sharif has been sniffing for something that entire cycle. He was going to walk away with something, like how Denzel said that time at the Oscars when he lost for Gloria. One of the times I think he lost for Malcolm X. He was like, I'm going to walk away with something. Sharif was going to walk away with something in 2022, right? He tried to run for Senate. That didn't work. He considered Congress, but that mapping and redistricting situation didn't work. So the only thing left was something within the party ranking. He had to walk away with something. And I think Shapiro just really wasn't reading the room. Like Jerry Lawrence, no shade to Jerry, but white man, you should have put someone else up. And I always question Shapiro's diversity. I always have questioned Shapiro's that for all the black folks, the people he got on transition and all this, if you look at his history, his hiring history, the people he had and lead, this man's track record is baguette. It's very white bread. It's very baguette. That's what I'm gonna start saying. It was very baguette. It was very white. It was very rich white. It was very baguette. And I think that speaks volumes to me, because moderate don't have to be white, in the sense that there are a lot of black moderates out there. Okay, there are lots of black moderates. Get you a diverse coalition of moderates. But I just feel like when we get these white guys, it's always this cookie cutter class president type of thing. And I'm just like, thank God Fetterman won Senate, because if we would have had him and Conor Lamb, we would have had a bunch of Ken dolls. Like, we would have had a bunch of Ken dolls in politics. Everybody would have been super, cute with it. Nah, we gotta do something. We gotta shake it up. So That's my energy. That's my vibe. That's how I'm reading it personally. So I'm not surprised that Al Schmidt got Secretary of State. I'm a little surprised that some people who I thought was going to work for him haven't yet, or I haven't seen it yet. So I'm trying to figure out what's going to be the outcome of certain jobs. I'm holding out. We got to see what's going to be going down. But the tea is hot, y'all. The tea is hot. And that's where I stand on it. The tea is definitely hot. Now, let's talk about the House Speaker drama. Because honestly, that's what we're here for, right? That's what y'all are here for, right? Woo, woo, woo. Because I've been waiting. And y'all know I've been waiting. This is the 100th episode. So I've had to take a moment to decompress because I have so much I've been holding in about all of this. And I don't know where I want to start because there is a House situation in Pennsylvania and in Congress. And I just want to tell y'all who've been following this podcast, I told you so. Yep, I'm going to say it. I told you so about a certain race because I gotta just lay it on the table and I'm trying to figure out, because this show, I do this show raw, like we don't edit, we don't clean, this is off the dome. So let me just start by this. The theme of these races, the Pennsylvania House Speaker race, the national House Speaker race in Congress, the story of both of these situations is go into the room knowing that you got your votes. If you don't got the votes, you cannot press go. That's the story of this. In 2023, we got to be more thorough. We got to be more on top. If you say you got it, you better have it. And if you don't have it, you better find it, or you better bounce, or you better cut a deal. But in 2023, we can't just walk in assuming we got it. Translation, if you didn't make a reservation, don't walk me up in there without a reservation. Because if we ain't got a seat secure, I ain't about to be waiting. I don't do restaurants without reservations. And you should never do a bid for a seat without the votes. Period. And in two separate situations, this happened. So I'm going to start nationally before I go locally, because the local situation is a little sticky and I got some sticky ass thoughts about it. But let me go with national. Kevin motherfucking McCarthy, what the fuck? Yes, Kevin McCarthy, after 15 rounds, finally, at the crack of midnight, the day after the insurrection, second anniversary, this man finally gets enough votes to become the next House Speaker. He is now House Speaker Kevin McCarthy. And I'm sorry, the word McCarthy kept making me think of Senator Joseph McCarthy, who was another idiot who pushed conspiracy theories and notions and ignorance. There's something symbolic about that name, that last name specifically. But I noticed that, and it was already a red flag. Now, to be clear, Kevin McCarthy is a problem. Now, he was someone pushing and agitating the January 6th insurrection. This is a full circle moment that Donald Trump, little Donald, had to get on the phone and make phone calls. And we're not talking about Byron Donalds, who we'll talk about in a minute, but we're talking about the fact that Donald Trump had to sit up and call people, urging people to back McCarthy for that seat. And I just find it interesting that it took that many rounds. So long story short, there was a contingency of about 19 or roughly 20 Republicans who were basically stubborn. They were not the majority, the minority. That was the loud minority amongst the silent majority that was really frustrated with McCarthy. They find him to be a corporate shrill. They question the money, the GOP, the lobby interest. They don't trust him. They find him conniving. And they let him know he was not getting those votes. They wanted to amend the House rules. We don't know all the deals that was made, but they did not like him. And they stood 10 toes down for literally, 4 days? 4 days. Basically giving this man no vote. They nominated a bunch of random people. Donald Trump got a nomination at one point, because I guess apparently for House Speaker, you technically don't have to be elected official at the time. It's funny how those rules work. There was this black man named Byron Davids, who For the life of me, I was like, brother, what are you doing? But then again, it's always going to be one of them. It's going to be one of them. They tried to nominate him. The girls were fighting. They were knucking and bucking and ready to fight. Literally, there was about to be a fight with Matt Gaetz and this other congressman. It was hands were about to be thrown late at night. Folks was mad. Folks were mad. and let me be clear that this is one thing that people didn't talk about enough, was that you cannot get sworn in until you elect the speaker. The speaker has to get elected first, and then everybody gets officially sworn in. So, like, I think about Maxwell Frost. I think about Summer Lee from Pennsylvania. Maxwell Frost, the young Gen Zer who got elected in Florida. I think about these people who wanted to bring their families out. And their families were thinking, just like the way they did in the Senate, look, Fetterman's family came through. He got sworn in. Vice President Kamala Harris swore him in. And then they just kind of moved on. It was an easy breezy day for the Senate. But over there in Congress, it was chaos because they could not get sworn in. So imagine bringing your mama and your girlfriend and your spouse and everybody to come celebrate this day, and then you couldn't get sworn in because the party can't get their shit. The Republicans can't get their shit together, and then it's another day, and eventually they're like, look, I gotta go home, I gotta go to work. Your whole moment, it ruined a moment. It ruined a moment for all those people. They didn't have that moment that could have just celebrated, have that, because it was just so much chaos. So that was just really fucked up. This congressional legislative branch, this group is going to be one fiery group. Kevin McCarthy made many concessions, apparently. He made some deals on the table. He basically sold his soul to get this position. If I was him, child, he must got a lot of confidence. I mean, my ego couldn't have taken it. I think after about, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 rounds, I probably would have threw the towel in. I don't know. But we in the double digits, definitely by 10, I would have said, y'all can have it. I would have just said, fuck it, I'm going to support Hakeem Jeffries just to fuck with y'all. I would have told my Republican friends, just to smite these assholes, we're going to go ahead and support Hakeem Jeffries and elect him just to spite them. That's what I would have probably did. I would have cut a deal with the Democrats or something. Because he ain't going to get no real deal out of this. There's no way that he can, be able to justify this and act like this was all according to plan. But when you're thirsty, right? He didn't have the votes. He just thought that magically Republicans were going to get in line. Well, yeah, real Republicans, but these are rhinos. RINO. I don't know if y'all heard that term before, but rhinos are people that's called Republican in name only. And there is a contingency of elected Republicans that are really not true Republicans. They're something else. They're representing other groups, other interests. I don't know, white supremacy, right? And they're basically, using the Republican GOP banner, which doesn't mind letting them use it clearly, to push these ideals and be disruptive. So we already seeing what's about to happen over there. They're changing house rules. It's just so much bullshit. But it's so funny because in the beginning, what pissed me off, I'm going to be real with you, outside of the madness with the Republicans, was some of these Democrats. All this, I brought my popcorn. They thought that shit was cute. Let me tell you something. I'm a fucking taxpayer. None of this shit was cute like that. If I want to be at home with popcorn as a taxpayer watching that laughing, sure. But your ass better be out there trying to figure out how to get us together, because this could have been an economic collapse. I mean, fiscally, business got to get done. You have an unstable Congress where votes and things got to get done. That impacts the economy. I don't think people recognize that a Congress that does not govern is nothing to be sitting around eating popcorn and laughing about. So that just wasn't sitting well with me personally. I think the Democrats need to sit their asses down. Baby girl, y'all finally getting somewhere. Don't rub it now. Don't do it. Now, favorite moment, best thing that I thought was the best thing about the whole situation, Hakeem Jeffries' speech. He's now the minority leader, but he's one election away from potentially being the House Speaker. And I really think it's going to happen. I think that the Republicans, this situation will be in infamy. We've never seen this in our history, in American history before, where it took that long. There has been delays before. I mean, 100 years ago, there was some back and forth like this, but nothing to this magnitude. And so there is a consequence to be had here. This is a consequential vote. What I will say is that Hakeem Jeffries, I believe that this time in 2025, mark my words, Hakeem Jeffries will be the House Speaker. He'll be the first black House Speaker in American history. He is already the first leader of a major political party in history. And he's from Brooklyn, and the brother got up there and he was speaking, and he gave this really great speech that went through the whole entire alphabet and literally read the Republicans to filth in his speech that he gave right after McCarthy got voted in as Speaker. It was beautiful. It was a reading rainbow. And I'm just excited to see what Congress is going to do. Seems like they're keeping the fire going. Now, while we're on this topic about Congress, there was a man who was there that is still there, and his name is George Santos. I don't know if y'all been following this Republican in Florida who lied about everything. He lied about his resume. I mean, he lied about his gay origin story. Apparently he's gay or whatever. He lied about being Jewish. I mean, this guy is completely lying, and there are Republicans who've been wanting him to leave Congress and get out of there. Well, it's too late. It seems like he's going to stick beside it. There's an investigation going into him. I mean, this guy literally lied about a lot of, like, his whole life in order to try to, I mean, he's claimed that a relative died in 9/11, I believe I heard. I mean, the lies are ridiculous. But you know, Republicans, y'all made this mess. This situation, even the girls are fighting. Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert, or whatever her name is, they used to be friends. They was out there, you know, city girls. They were the Republican girls that was out there, you know, coming at Biden during the State of the Union a couple years ago, being disrespectful and heckling him. Now they was on opposite ends. Okay, Lauren was over there creating chaos. She voted present. And Marjorie Taylor Greene was loyal to McCarthy and Trump. You know, she wanted to get back in her House seats because, you know, but because of her reckless behavior, her anti-Semitism, her racist behavior, her affiliation with these white supremacists, you know, they took her off. Her violent behavior, they were saying at one point, all these allegations and things about her, they said they took her out of her committees. They took her out of committees. Disgraceful. So I think she's trying to get a rebound back in under McCarthy's graces. That's why she was brown nosing. And McCarthy clearly is going to be giving some of these people some cute little sweet deals. I'm thinking about the fact that she was mad. She told the press that, you know, they didn't tell her she is upset her Freedom Caucus was going against McCarthy, and nobody told her anything. I mean, it was giving sorority girl, she is in her feelings. The girls were mad. But in the end, McCarthy won because all those people who voted nay voted present, and so that did not go against him, and he had enough actual votes to push him through. But there was a lot of people that voted present and did actually verbally vote for him. But he had enough of those 5 votes to do what he could do. So it's been fascinating following this saga, but here we are. Now, and George Santos, I don't know what's going to happen with him. I know they're investigating him. And we'll see if he's going to stay in Congress, but we'll see what happens. But let's talk about another situation. And this one I've been holding to the chest because I want to see how stuff play out. Let's talk about this race, okay, with the Pennsylvania House and the Speaker and the surprise that happened. Now, this is one of those moments, y'all, when I told y'all so. Now, last month in December, there was a lot of buzz about State Representative Joanna McClinton, who is a leader within the Democratic Party in the State House. A lot of people were saying, you know, she's the House Speaker, you know, Speaker, you know, Joanna McClinton and all this and that. And, you know, people was calling me a hater because I said it's a little too early to say that. Because I actually read. And we got to start reading again. Read again. You know how Tony Braxton said, breathe again. Read again is what I'm saying. We need to read again. We're not reading people. We're not studying anymore. And shame on the Democrats in Harrisburg. I gotta keep it 100 because y'all did not inform the public about how this could have played out. I knew how it was playing out. I saw it. I knew it when it was going on. So remember on the podcast in December, I talked about Joanna McClinton and the Speaker House situation and how she was supposed to be the first woman to hold the seat. It was historic, but there was some confusion about the votes because there was those 3 vacancies. And I said, I don't know if she would have the votes. I said, it's something, if everybody comes and shows up to Harrisburg, this could be a little messy. Will some Republicans move? I wasn't sure. It just was not a done deal about whether or not she was going to be the speaker. However, the Democrats clinched it. They leaned into it. There was graphics being shown all throughout. There were city council people. People were praising her already. There was graphics calling her Speaker McClinton. It was just very premature. To be very clear, her emergency situation where she was sworn in this weird way to push these special elections, she wants them to take place February 7th, opposed to having them all the way May 20th. There has been something to fill in, but let me back up. Let me get y'all together. Because some people may not remember, so here's a little refresh, but I want to put it all in context because I want y'all to see how this all played out. So, let's be clear. The Democrats won the general election in Harrisburg. We're talking about the state. We're not talking about national right now. We're only focused on Pennsylvania. Congress had their thing. We're talking about the Pennsylvania voters now. So in Pennsylvania, we had our general election in November. For the House, the Democrats won back the House by 1 vote. They won 102 seats in November. They have a 1-seat majority. Republicans have 102 seats. Now, the reason why Democrats had this competitive edge is because earlier that year they did redistricting. And the redistricting map of the Commonwealth of the state is now slanted to benefit Democrats in the long term, where Democrats might forever have the majority moving forward compared to Republicans. So they might forever, Democrats are positioned, in the meantime, to might hold on to a majority now, which is a beautiful thing because I was so sick of all these Democrats in Philadelphia blaming Harrisburg, blaming the House. Now y'all got a majority, or not, who knows? But y'all have a majority, there should be some things moving. And there are benefits to having a majority. You can control the way House committees are ran, and views and votes, and all of those things matter. These are all the unique benefits. You get to have a new House leader that represents the party's interest in things. All good things. But in order to secure that, you have to have the votes. So you're thinking to yourself, how did this happen, right? So here's what happened. There were 3 vacancies that immediately took place when they won that 102. 3 seats. Let me be clear on the 3. Summer Lee was a state rep that won her congressional seat. Pennsylvania election laws allows for state reps to be able to run for multiple seats while also running for their seat at the same time. Now, y'all know resign to run is a city council thing in Philadelphia, but that doesn't apply to the state. So that's like how Almond Brown can be a state rep and still run for mayor right now, right? And there's no consequence for that, legislative wise, But for everybody else, it's a complicated situation. It's a complicated numbers game. So Summer Lee was one of the vacancies because she went to Congress. She won her seat. So that's a Democratic seat, but it has to be filled in a special election. That's 1 seat. The second seat is Austin Davis. Austin Davis, is now Lieutenant Governor Austin Davis. But he also still ran for his state rep seat because, hey, he wanted to. So some of y'all might say, why didn't resign to run? They did not resign to run, or they didn't leave to do it because 1, they didn't have to, but 2 is because they still wanted to keep the Democrats, the seat in a Democratic power. Because if, let's say, for example, a Democrat resigns, they quit, which they had to resign, right? Or they get in scandal. The party that held the seat or won that seat can control who gets in the seat via special election or something else. If a Democrat would have forfeited that run, then it would automatically go to the other party, the challenging party, which is a Republican, if they put up a challenger. So you still got to maintain the party's positioning and possession of the seat. So those were the two. And then there was another man who died. And this guy made it on the ballot. And it was complicated what happened to him, because it was, his name is Rep. Tony DeLuca. Tony DeLuca passed away. He was 85 years old. Tony DeLuca was. And so what happened to Tony DeLuca was that he was on the ballot. You know, he was on the ballot. He was alive when he got on the ballot, but he died before the vote, before he so let me clarify. So he was alive to get on the ballot because he had to collect signatures and all that. So he got on the ballot this year. He was alive in the spring, all that. Won the primary, got all that in. Got on the ballot, got the nomination. Then in the middle between the time in which he was on that ballot in the spring and the time in which was the November election, he passed away. He died in October. So the thing is that even though he died, he was still on the ballot, and they couldn't change the positioning because by law, Pennsylvania couldn't say, okay, we replaced him because he's technically got elected. So what happened is he stayed on the ballot. Voters could still vote. Voters elected a dead man. You know, they could have said, voters could have said, I'm voting for the Republican because, I'd rather have the Republican because I'm not going to elect the dead man. But they did not. They said they'd rather vote for a dead man because they knew that a special election will be had and a Democrat will have the seat. It wouldn't be election. Let me be clear. Special elections are not open to other parties. It's only open, well, it technically is, but the Democrats largely, whoever the party is that's throwing it, they technically will have the advantage. I mean, it's pretty much so. No other outsider wins special elections when party seats are there. These are predominantly predominantly Democratic districts to which Summerlee, DeLuca, and Austin Davis are residing in. These are not Republican districts. So Democrats will be elected. Now that I got that off my chest, now that we got that, because I want people to understand where I'm going here. Because I talked about this in December. So what that means is that those three people are out, which means that 102 minus 3 is 99. Republicans had no vacancies. They have 101. So that means that on January 3rd, come hell or high water, if every elected official shows up, which they were going to, because they all wanted to be sworn in. They had to come on January 3rd, because all of them had to get sworn in to the state house. So nobody was going to miss that day. All those new state reps, Ben Waxman's a new state rep, all the new state reps, Tariq Khan, all those new state reps, they wanted to get sworn in. So they had to show up, which they did. And y'all know the math. 99, 101. Republicans had 101. Democrats had 99. Whew. So here's what happened. They show up. Joy McClinton shows up in all white. This is very ceremonial. You can tell. I had to keep it 100. She thought she was going to get elected that day. She wore her Sunday best. She was in this white, and I think it was a ceremonial, there's this thing in politics where people wear all white. It means history. It's a suffragette color. I think someone said it just holds a lot of semblance and things. It's symbolic. I think about that time where all the women in Congress, the Democratic women, wore all white that time in Congress to make a statement. This is a symbolism. So she wearing all white, she was trying to make a statement. A lot of people came from her area, her Delco and her district, because they thought they were going to witness history being made. I remember telling some people that day, it ain't happening. They said, "Oh, Ernest, shut up, you old negative Nancy." I said, I'm telling you all It's not going to happen. She does not have the votes. They're not going to press go. Republicans are not going to do it. And I also said to myself, in retrospect, it even made sense because while McCarthy was having hell in D.C., Republicans on this side wasn't going to compromise the Democrats. There were people that had this theory that Democrats, that there will be some Republicans that would have wavered in her favor. Where? Who? Who was going to do it? Did you have the Republicans' names? Did we know any Republicans? They were like, well, history is child. This is a black person. She would have been the second black House Speaker in Pennsylvania's entire history, and the first woman. What Republicans across that aisle did you know up front? Did you have 3 Republicans that was going to bend? No one could tell me who those Republicans were. Everybody was acting like a deal was being cut, but I didn't see the numbers. I didn't see it. I was like, I don't know what Republican is going to fold. So that was a red flag for me. I didn't see the Republicans folding. Also, I just thought it was just, to me, weird because it's like, why was there this public media pushing? Because she went to, Joanna McClinton went to PA Society in December and was talking like she already had the job. I mean, there's various reports of her talking about this moment and all, 2023 is going to be a new day and all this. She was acting like she had it. And there was a lot of that type of stuff that just was like, ooh, this is weird. This is weird. We a little too early. We need to let this play out. They just was not pragmatic. It was just already press conferences being had. And on my end, I remember being in certain newsrooms and people was like, hey, should we start calling her? I said, absolutely not. They won the majority, but there was still a technicality in motion. And you got to and this is why in journalism it's about accuracy. You have to really not jump the gun too much, especially when there is a very plausible plot twist. And there was a plot twist. So she goes there in all white. She's having this moment. And in the room, she didn't have the votes. And it was obvious, and she just didn't have them. So who was the alternative? Well, a Republican nominates this Democrat who took the position, and it apparently was causing hell. His name is Mark Rossi. He's in Berks County, and he was nominated by a Republican. And the Republicans were like, yeah, we're going to back him. Now, Rossi's a Democrat. There was rumors, there was rumors that he cut a deal with Republicans. There was a rumor that he cut deals with Democrats. The verdict is still out on what he did, but he's been very quiet with the press about this. But they nominate this white man, and he says yes. And the party backs him, and he becomes the new House Speaker. In the moment of becoming House Speaker, he's a registered Democrat, but he becomes an independent. So now he identifies himself as an independent. So now, right, well, let me back up a little bit. The rumor is that he cut a deal with the Republicans to become an independent and not caucus with Democrats. Democrats claim that, from what I've heard, that the deal was made that he will remain a registered Democrat and that this is a temporary seat filler. So somebody lying. Or maybe he's playing Peter to rob Paul. I don't know. But somebody's lying, or he's probably lying to both of them. But we don't know yet because no one's really spoken to Mark Rossi yet. So this is all speculative and this is all allegations, allegedly. Now, with that being said, he's now the new House Speaker. When the special elections happen, they're hoping that it happens February 7th. That now means that now this Democrat has become independent. Y'all following the math? It is now going to be even tie between the Republicans and the Democrats in the House. So now neither party has a tie, a majority, which is what the Republicans like. So now you got, because we got to follow this, now you have Republicans with 101 votes. Remember how if the special election is over, Democrats must have 102? Now that Rozzi is an independent, they now have 101 as well. So both parties have 101, and Mark Rozzi is going to be the deciding factor vote in the middle person. Now, let's talk strategically. Because I'm hearing rumors. I've heard that, for starters, I've heard that from some really credible sources that Joanna McClinton is pissed off about this whole situation. I think that makes a lot of sense. I think, that makes sense. That makes sense. Why not? Right? I wouldn't put it past. What I'm also hearing is that there's been some calls from her and her surrogates calling different groups and different people, some people of the press I hear, and assuring them that this is a temporary ordeal. That there is some speculation that Rozzi is in this seat temporarily, and that once this special election gets cleared away, that he'll go back to being a Democrat, she'll have the majority to be House Speaker, and everything's going to go according to plan. That is her theory. That's allegedly. That's what I'm hearing allegedly. That the theory from Democrats is that he is temporarily a place seat holder, that he is basically in this seat temporarily, and that he is just there to keep everything even. But the moment that the special elections take place, which they're hoping happens in February and not May 20th, but February 7th, that the Democrats will have the majority again. They'll have 102 to the 101, and then, Mark will get over there and everybody will support him and be good. And that Joanna will be speaker and everything's going to be great. Here's the problem with that. I don't think that's true. I could be wrong. Lord knows I've been before. I'm not perfect. But I don't think that's true. And I'm going to tell you why. Because how in the hell did Mark just jump up Rozzi out of the blue and become the Republicans' pick? And Joanna did not know this before? Did any Democrats know this was going to happen before it happened? So to me, it seemed like his allegiance aligns with them more than aligns with her and the Democrats. Did she not know this was going to happen? Clearly she didn't, because the way that she was dressed and the way that she was, the way that the Democrats were that day, they had signs. It's obvious that they was not expecting this to happen, which means that the Republicans played card. Now, publicly, Joanna has made this, she keeps calling Mark Rozzi a Democrat, saying, I'm so happy this Democrat's been elected after 10 years, and she's being all positive publicly. But I know behind the scenes, she's mad as hell, and they're trying to strategize. But let me tell you, Mark Rozzi is playing an interesting game. He is going to be the Joe Manchin of the House, because Joe Manchin had that type of moment, and Rozzi is having that moment. And I feel like he's going to hold on to it as long as he can to play this game. Now, I don't know if this is going to last forever. This may take another 2 years before we really have a Democratic win. But the Democrats across the state and the Commonwealth, they need to step up and get some of these seats, because this is an opportunity that shows you how serious every vote counts and how margins are. I personally predict, I think it's safe to say, in my opinion, my theory is that he's going to hold on to this seat, and he's going to keep playing tiebreaker and deal breaker every step of the way. I think that he's in a comfortable spot. That why does he have to give up the seat? I mean, why? Why would he let go of that power? He's going to enjoy that extra special parking seat. I mean, why would he relinquish it for her? I mean, I don't know what their relationship is. I don't know. I mean, she should have gave her a heads up, at least. There should have been a conversation before she got played. It just seems interesting to me that none of that happened. So something's telling me that his loyalties don't really align with hers. I mean, they could have surely picked another person. It's just, they could have picked another woman. Maybe they could have agreed on another woman. It's just something about this that just gives me the Democrats are not telling us the full story. And to me, based on how things are looking, I'm assuming that when the special election happens and they break into this tie, I think he's just going to want to stay put. That's my theory. I think that he's going to stay put. And I also think there are some Democrats that will probably not be 100% loyal to Joanna in this decision. Because if they see Mark doing his thing, a couple of them might break off and support Mark. And you might see a situation where Mark will go against Joanna for House Speaker. And if Mark and Joanna go against each other, Mark is going to win. I mean, he can win. If Mark goes against Joanna, he wins if it's vote for vote, pound for pound. But I can also still see some of his own people, his Democrats, maybe 1 or 2, 3 betraying her and going towards him. He still gets it. Either way it goes, he's in a position that once you put him in there, you can't take him out of that seat until the next 2 years. So, again, like I said, in 2025, maybe we'll finally get Joanna in the position and Hakeem Jeffries. Maybe 2025 is going to be the year where we have all these black historical moments. But maybe this year was too premature. I don't know. That's just where my head is at. I don't see him giving up that seat unless a deal is struck. I could be wrong, but I think something else is behind. I think something else sinister is happening behind the scenes. I could be wrong, but I just don't. I don't know. I just think that there's some real shit going on, and I think they're trying to do some real media smear campaigning over there. I've read some of these articles out already, and it's giving very much like this is a temporary ordeal. But we'll see. So, I'm going to keep this brief. I had a lot to say, and then a lot came, and then I realized y'all still watching football anyway, so what's the point? This NFL situation with Damar Hamlin is just despicable. I know a lot of y'all have followed it. This young man had a whole heart cardiac arrest, CPR. Ambulance had to take him off the field. The teams were traumatized. They had to suspend the game, as they should have. Looked like the NFL, the league itself, were trying to just have them do a 5-minute break and then go back out. I support the ESPN stance and their coverage. I believe them that this was something that I don't think the NFL was initially trying to shut. The teams had to break down and say enough is enough. And with all this going on with CPC, good Lord, CTE and everything else that's happening, I've never been a fan of the NFL. I've been off the NFL. When I was little, that movie Concussion came out. Tell the truth. Remember Will Smith, when Will Smith was trying to have an Oscar moment. And did he have one eventually? No pun intended. So it's been a lot of things about the NFL that has turned me off about them. I just really don't think they really give a fuck about their players. I wrote a piece for the Daily Beast about how the NFL doesn't give a damn about its black players. There's roughly 60% of the players are black. And the league only has one black coach now. In the NFL, just one head coach. Like, what we doing? You know what I'm saying? It's the disproportion of wealth, resources, power, the racial biasness of, I read this report in NPR where they were talking about the CTE testing and how racially tainted it was, where the NFL had a bias at how they wanted to pay certain black players based on it and support them. I mean, the stuff they did with Colin Kaepernick didn't sit well with me, never did. The deal that Jay-Z struck, or that little crate change shit they did. I mean, this is just a racist, flawed institution that's bad to their players. The way that they have, turned a blind eye and slapped a wrist on a lot of the domestic violence that happens. All those cases, when I think about that, this is just not a good place. It's not a good institution. And, if you really care about these players, if you really care about the health and safety of black men and black people and equity. There's no way that you can just consistently support and make this multi-billion-dollar institution thrive when they're doing really modern day slavery. I mean, it's plantations on that field. Yes, they're getting paid, but there's something to be said for the fact that they really take a lot of they really take a lot of money. They go into these communities, they sell this dream to a lot of impoverished or underserved, young black youth, where they look at this sport as a gateway out, and then they get them there, and then they put them in these conditions that will damage them in their mental health, damage their physical body, and really fuck them up financially. I mean, people really think that all these football players are getting these big fat salaries and checks, but there's all types of, issues, injury. I heard injury revenue or some type of process that if you're injured as a player, you don't get certain pay. These people are not given really good, contracts. And a lot of that is coming out in the media. People are talking about it finally. But they don't really recognize that these players, the insurance benefits, they're not really getting all of that. You're thinking about the Terrell Owens, and you're thinking about the Russell Westbrooks and some of these super rich dudes, but they literally have to make money off of endorsement deals and side gigs to really be able to be lucrative. Ocho Cinco, those type of players, those former players, whatever, Brian Gumbles and all. I mean, a lot of these people in sports, they make a lot of money outside of these contracts. Like, everybody's not getting Tom Brady money. And when you really unpack that, you start to realize this is exploitative as fuck. And so I just cannot emotionally, ethically, I cannot support them. I just really cannot. Every time, I see people just getting real excited or just falling into the trap of watching the football like it's nothing. I'm just like, how do we watch this? How do we watch this? How do we normalize this behavior? Like, knowing that they're literally damaging their skulls, that they're literally they're making a check and they're doing this for our entertainment. It's not like they're going to war. It's not like they're doing, being firefighters. I mean, they're really just out here playing a game. And all the money that they're making, I mean, not they're making, but the money they're making for the NFL and the racial disparities of it, it's just it's weird to me. And yes, there's white players. Yes, we know there's other white football players. And it's interesting that, like, even within that, the way that the race plays, you don't really see any black quarterbacks. With 60%, black players, you're not even seeing black players get into those elevated, quarterback type titles and roles, even in teams where they're dominating them racially. So this is a lot of interesting dynamics that looks like the same type that we would never accept this in other types of newsrooms or corporations or companies and brands. And so I don't know why there's a double standard for the NFL. My theory is that I think it's just that people just assume that these people are doing what they dream and what they love to do, and that who are they to judge? That's easy enough to say. But the unfortunate part is that I've heard stories, and I've spoken to some former NFL players, more so recently because of what just happened. And you realize that some of these people, this is all they were, they knew. You could argue that a failing school system, a public school education system that deprives kids from educational opportunities to envision themselves, specifically black youth, as being anything more than an athlete in certain cases, is what also creates this type of caste system. That in reality, I wonder if the research would show that black kids growing up in more affluent neighborhoods or better public schools, do they still have the same aspirations to be a football player compared to those who are living in less affluent areas? Like, I went to a public school, in my high school, A. Lee Felsig High School. And, I was the first black, like the first African American, quote unquote, they say African American, but I was like the first, American, black American to be valedictorian. Like first black male, like black American male to be valedictorian in my high school. Um, and in my high school was majority black and Latino. There were some white kids, and we also had Asian kids, of course. I had 1,000 kids in my graduating class, and most of the black boys that I went to school with, they had aspirations for basketball and football. And Elsick did churn out some really good basketball players. I mean, Rashad Lewis went to Elsick. A lot of people had those aspirations, but they wasn't. A lot of them were not aspiring to do what I was doing, like be a journalist. That wasn't in the case. A politician. That was just not the culture. And I just wondered to myself, like, if our high schools, in certain areas, if they pushed a different type of pathway to success, or at least expanded more on that than sports, I wonder how people would have turned out there. But I recognize when I went to Penn, how sports like football were not embraced in other schools. They just was like, nah, I wasn't doing that, or whatever the case was. It's just interesting when I reflect on the education, but like this is ingrained in a lot of people's lives early. And it's not by default. Like I think about my neighborhood in West Philly, not too far from where I live. There's a nice little football stadium, and those kids go to practice in their neighborhood, and it's a safe space for the most part for them to play football and play. And I'm thinking to myself, damn, you got this whole football field right here, and that's fine, I guess, but why isn't there not like a park or a really good recreational center for the kids, or something that would teach STEM, and or arts or something? Like why we're not giving that same space to something different? You could like football all you want. I mean, I'm not saying you can't, I guess, but it's just interesting that are these really our choices, or is this something systemic? That's just what I'm coming from. I think in my mind, I'm gonna have to theorize this more and really, really, really spread this out or read more on it. But I really believe that there is a correlation between the NFL and football, militarism and police state, with the infiltration of these types of laborious tasks upon working class black communities. And that there is a target demographic of how they want to use the black body and the black mind, and how they want to exploit that on the national platform. I believe this is this is systematic. I've gone to too many schools. I've taught too long. And I've lived through this enough to believe it. Whether it's in Philadelphia or Houston, Texas, there is a commonality here. I think about career fairs. I have done more career fairs in the last 4 years. I can't even tell y'all how many I've done, virtual, in person, whatever, because I had concerns with the fact that when you go to these career fairs in the hood, okay, I'm not talking about your little Friend Select school. Friend Select is dope. They have me coming over there for a career fair. Love them. But I got to go to my boys Latin. I got to go to the other schools. I got to go to Lee. I got to go to West Philly High. You got to go to other schools too. Because not just the Mastermans, because when I was going to those career fairs, they just had nothing but police officers and the military. And I'm like, they're already in programming these kids to see only a certain scale and scope of what their realities are. Y'all got to pay attention. Stay woke. It's happening early. They're doing it early. When I look at the books that they're reading, who gets to come and talk to the class, they're really focused on a certain subset. And that made me realize that as the president of the Philadelphia Association of Black Journalists, it was important to me to say, we got to get our journalists out here at these career fairs. So I've been working with a lot of high schools, and I'm telling you, if you are a high school in Philadelphia and you want a black journalist like me or somebody to come, I will come. You don't got to even pay me. I love the kids, because we got to be. I need. This has been something that's a personal, passionate project of mine. I definitely need to build. If there's people out there who want to do it, I'm just telling everybody listening to my podcast. If you're doing clinical psychology, if you're doing, you know, I just, banking or whatever, start calling these neighborhood schools and just telling them, hey, my name is so and so, so and so. If you got a career day, sign me up, because we got to show up for these kids. They got to see something different. If you an engineer, a mechanic, a neuroscientist, whatever it is, you need to start going to your neighborhood schools and going to their career days and showing up for those kids. Because if you don't, you will see the scope of their imagination. I remember very early on, I was remembering when I was at West Philly High, how many of those kids, the jobs they wanted to do. It was interesting what they kept saying. And I was like, why do all the kids want to be police officers? Why do everybody want to go to the Army? Why do they think this is the only thing they can do? Because those are the people that are showing up to those schools. So it's interesting that I can tell you all as a testimony, ever since I've been doing this for the past 4 years, I have seen mentees, kids that I connected with that saw me speak. I have 3 kids that saw me speak at these events that's currently in college right now pursuing journalism careers. One of them is currently a student I was able to help and get a scholarship for recently. A couple of them, they let me read their writing. But I just wonder how many other people need to see that. And how much I wish I could have saw that without watching TV. So I just think that is a New Year's, if there's a 2023 resolution that any of you all listen to this podcast want to know, I would say this is one thing that everybody can do. If you are not a police officer, you have a unique career, or you're doing something special in your field, go to these schools in your neighborhood, call the school up and say, hey, I'm a so-and-so, how can I, make my presence known? Look, everybody can't do PTA, I get it. Everybody can't go to everything and do all the volunteering, I get it. But you can take out a couple of hours, twice a year to show up to one of these career days, talk to these kids, because they need to see us, especially us Black and brown folks. They need to see us and see what we're doing. So that's something I've been doing for a while. And it didn't hit me how absent that representation is in the conversation. But that was on me. And that's what I got out of this NFL talk. And here we are. So this mayor's race, everybody's in their feelings about this piece I wrote. Not everybody. Some people actually like it. I wrote about Nutter. It came out this week that, former Mayor Michael Nutter is deciding that he's considering a political comeback. He hasn't confirmed it, but he's kind of like, maybe, he's not denying it. But I think, honestly, I'm not saying, and let me be very clear, I'm not endorsing him and saying that he's my top pick. He is not my top pick. But I am saying that I do think his presence in this race would wake it the fuck up. Y'all, it is boring right now. It's Jeff Brown and Alan Dom ads. Both of them are on TV. Both of them are on VH1 or CNN. I've seen an Alan Dom ad now. Jeff Brown is hugging Black people. And grocery stores, it has just become a spectacle. And the other candidates, everybody's just kind of being chill and low key. I'm like, where's the action? Where's the drama? We need some spice. I know it's coming. I know there's some things coming in the woodwork, but I just feel like we need to hurry up. It's too many damn people running for it to be this damn quiet. So I think people trying to figure out their money. They're trying to figure out something, but Nutter throwing out this 11th hour shocker, I think is genius. I think that even if he doesn't win, whatever the case is, I think it's good to put some fire on these people's asses. And so I wrote a piece of Philly Mag that was called 4 Reasons Michael Nutter Running for Mayor Would Be Totally Fascinating. Because it would be, whether or not it happens, the former mayor considering a political comeback is what this dry, crowded race needs right now. It does. It does. It just does. So I've been following this. I've been following this entire ordeal. It's been a minute. Um, and no one has been talking about it. Oh well, people have been debating about it, but one of the things that I stand with it is just like, first of all, if he runs, it would force candidates to sharpen their positions immediately. I just feel like there's too many candidates that I don't know what makes them stand out. I don't really know outside of identity politics. Like they have identities that makes them stand out, but identities don't necessarily speak to your policies. Ask Byron, that guy Byron Donalds, this black Republican from Florida who was initially going against McCarthy, but then ended up voting for him in the end, having his little 15 minutes of fame. Guys like that show you not all our skin folk are our kinfolk. So I just think that's how I feel about some of these other, candidates. Like, okay, you a black candidate, okay. But when I look at your voting record and how you vote, a lot of that does not align my interests. So that's it, right? Identity doesn't matter. I need to see more from them to sharpen their position. Some of these people are super polar. Like we know what Helen Gibbons bringing to the table. We have a sense of what kind of candidate Almond Brown is based on some of his stances. But like a Derek Green, like the guy, but like I don't know what makes Derek Green's policies any different from Sherrell's. I find him to be more likable than Sherrell, but I don't necessarily feel like he's bringing anything to the table that dynamically different from what Sherrell might be bringing. Or, I understand Maria's interest, but all the city council candidates, Dom and Maria, like Jeff Brown and Alan Dom, I'm like, they're just two rich white men. One with more political experience, the other doesn't have it. But I'm just kind of like, okay, all right, all right. I'm just not impressed. And I just think, for all of the hype, there could just be a lot more. And I just feel like I'm being undersold or underwhelmed, I guess. But be careful what you ask for because you just might get it. It might just be a little too annoying. But we're a couple of months away. I just think there could be a little bit more smoke there. Also, I think that if he got in a race, that Nutter has name recognition, right? They got to engage more. Some of these candidates that are running, I don't know who they are enough. Like I heard this man named James DeLeon, who's a retired municipal court judge. He's running for mayor. Who is that? I mean, no shade. I mean, he must be an honorable judge and he may have done really great work. I will not take that from him. But like for real though, who is that? Like in terms of citywide politics, I just don't feel like, I don't know. I just don't think, mayor, really? I don't know. Some of these other people, I just think Nutter has the name recognition. Everybody know who Nutter is, right? Nutter wrote a book about how much he loved being a mayor. Nutter has the biggest name recognition out of all of them. All of them, okay? Everybody know Nutter because Nutter the one, twice and then been in city council for he's been in public service for nearly 25 years. So, that's you going against the OG right there. So he definitely has the name recognition race. And that should scare people off the top because just his name on the ballot, somebody just may say, fuck it, I'm going to go there. So that should be something people should think about. That name recognition is very important. And some of these candidates who still have not made a dent on people, they're going to have to step their game up or drop out the race. And I'm personally thinking about the debates, personally. Like, I'm looking forward to these candidate forums. Now, I'm proud to announce that the Philadelphia Association of Black Journalists, we have our upcoming mayoral candidates forum that we're going to be hosting. I'm hosting it. The organization is putting it together. It is going to be on April 20th. More details to come, but 420, that Thursday, 420, which is my youngest brother's birthday. He's going to be turning 13. My goodness, time flies. But we'll be having a mayoral candidates forum. And so you guys can get to see me. See, I went from being banned in certain buildings because of my facial expressions at candidate forums to now being able to get the funding and support. Shout out to Linfest Institute for that grant, Every Vote, Every Voice. We got a grant to put on this mayoral candidates forum. It's on Black issues. Let me emphasize that in my, my Umar Johnson voice. Black, Pan-African, Black issues, Black people. We're focused on Black issues in this mayor's forum. That's what makes it unique. I've gone to a lot of these events and everybody's always like, oh, these are citywide. No. We're having it on Black issues. specifically how they plan to talk to the Black community. So this is gonna be a really great forum. But like, let's say if Nutter's there, right? I want to see how they're gonna debate him. How you gonna tell him about a job he has had? None of y'all have had the job as mayor. So I'm curious to see how they're going to engage him on it. I can see, someone like Maria Canales Sanchez, she served on city council with him, so she knows Nutter. So she might be able to hold her. She definitely can hold her own with him. Rebecca Reinhardt, served under his administration before Kenny's. She knows where some of the bodies are buried. Maybe she can put some fire to the flame. And then Alan Dom, he knows economics, and y'all know, Nutter's a proud Wharton grad, a Penn grad, like yours truly. Maybe he'll be able to, talk to him about finances. But everybody else, I don't know how this works. I could just imagine Nutter talking to Armin Brown like son, because Armin Brown's like 34 or 35, I think, and I could see him treating him like, because he's like old enough to be his father. I could see him sunning him on a stage, or attempting to. I don't know. I that would just be funny just to see how that plays out. But lastly, I think voters would have a legitimate safe vote if their favorite candidate bowed out early, right? What I mean by this is that whenever you vote, right? Like let's say, for example, if I'm at the Academy Awards and I'm voting for Best Actress, the person that's going to get my vote right now is Michelle Yeoh for Everything Everywhere All at Once. But let's say she doesn't get the nomination or something doesn't work out. Kate Blanchett for Tar is getting my vote. True story. Let's be real. I have my fave. I have my personal person candidate I like. I'm not telling the name, but maybe y'all can add it up and take a wild guess. If that person does not win, then I will want to know who my safe vote would be. Personally, y'all, to be honest, if my person does not win and Nutter is in the race, I might turn over and give them my vote. I just might do it. So I might give it to Nutter. It's better safe than sorry. I'd rather go with, that's why I call it a safe vote. I'd rather go with, they say, the devil or the dude than get my feet in some other race with somebody else that may not be as good. I don't know. Because I'm seeing how the race is shaping out. I don't want to tell my theory on it yet. I think it's a little too early. I got to see the race shape out before I give you my theory on how things are going to play out. But if Nutter does get in the race, and it looks like Nutter is building momentum, and if my person doesn't look like they're not doing too good, I might switch gears and back them. I might give Nutter my vote. Because I can't see myself supporting anybody else in the race outside of this person. And then another person I like, but I don't think they got the money or the chance. I just don't think some of these other candidates going to make it to the end. I think it's going to boil down to two people. My person I like, I think, is in that top two. And I think that, and I'm going to be real true, I'm going to give y'all a little clue to make it even more enticing. I think it's going to boil down to two women. Right now, I think it will. I don't see Dom and Alan being the answer. It's going to boil down to two women. But if one of the women who I support does not have the shot, but I see that Michael Nutter is coming in and edging out her against this other person who I definitely will not vote for, I could see, I could been there. I could been there. That's all I'm going to say. I'm talking really cryptic, but I just think there is a case for Nutter. I'm not saying it's a done bun. I'm not saying it. You don't got to tell me about Nutter. I have dragged Nutter before. Let me be very clear. When Nutter was mayor, I was very critical of Nutter, but to be honest, y'all, I got to keep 100. Nutter was a better mayor than Kenny. And I would rather have 8 years of Nutter than 8 years of Kenny. Kenny's 8 years was a total disaster. It was god-awful. And all Nutter got to do is walk in the room and say, was my 8 years better than the successor? And if the answer to that question is yes, then that man has a fighting shot and a case to be made. He is allowed, based on the charter, to run for mayor again. Rizzo tried to do it several times and failed and died trying to do it. But Nutter ain't no Rizzo. So this is a different situation. I think it's plausible. I think it's interesting. And if you don't like that reality, what I'm telling you right now, then I suggest you go ham for your candidate to prevent this from happening. But don't be mad. Vote. That's what Obama said, and it's true. Don't get mad. Vote. Now, let's get into this whole situation with Harry. I got it. I've been getting some good buzz by BBC World News TV. They've reached out to me to make an appearance, talk about Harry and Meghan Markle. You know, the doll is making her media appearances. I have a confession. I got a chance to really speed read through Spare, which is Harry's memoir. It leaked in Spain. The book has been translated, and there has been a PDF that came to my desk or whatever. Mr. Owens read it. I read it. I wanted to read it in time to be able to do this podcast. Got to get into it. It's spicy. It's spicy. It's spicy. And it's spicy. I'll give him that. I'll give Harry that. It is a spicy read, y'all. I like a good memoir. This is a good ass memoir. I will say that. It is a good memoir. He goes there. It's juicy. It's good. I only got one critique about that book. One. Only one critique, y'all. Everything else is perfection. I enjoyed it. My one critique is we never find out who was the racist that was messing with the baby Archie. We never find out who the racist was who was bothering baby Archie. We never find out who it was. I have been trying to figure that shit out. I think I know who it is. I think it was William. I think it's his brother William. That's my theory. I could be wrong. I think it was William. He goes in on William. Now, his father, now King Charles, Princess Diana's ex-husband, his father, he's not soft with his father, but he gives all the heat to Prince William. Them brothers are beefing. And I can tell you from personal experience, as someone who's had personal clashes with a family member, with a brother, not my brother that y'all see me with. I have another brother. It's 4 of us. As someone who has had that type of tensions in moments, and a lot of y'all have siblings, right? And you've had those moments. What they got, I can relate. I just know how it can be. Now, I'm the oldest in my situation. Harry's the youngest in his situation. But William, baby, he a hot mess. They was knucking and bucking in Buckingham Palace. Okay? Who's going to say that, Joe? They was actually knucking and bucking in Buckingham Palace. That's what was happening. Okay? Bowls was breaking his shit. Now, I do think Harry was a little dramatic about that scene. He talks about a scene when they were arguing, and it was all over Meghan. Oh, Meghan Markle, baby. Miss Duchess of Sussex. She was the reason why they had a lot of tension. Williams pointing a finger in Meghan Markle's face, telling her about her manners when it came to Kate. She called Kate Middleton, who is the Duchess of Cambridge. She called his wife a baby brain, which, that might be a little true. But apparently it ruffled some feathers. She was talking out of turn, and it was a whole thing. And so basically they had some issues. And William had a problem. William, Meghan apologized, but it was just so much friction. They are so sedity and uptight. Tension. He threw them under the bus. He said that William and Kate was the ones who approved the Nazi outfit. He had another costume, but remember that Nazi costume? Apparently they approved it. They the ones who was in favor of him doing it. Woo, child. The tea is hot. He also claims that Camilla, which is King Charles, is his father's new wife, which was the mistress in the Diana affair with Charles and all the marriage. Camilla is the one he says was out here spreading out these tabloids. He thinks she's the one that was stirring the pot and basically putting out those tabloids and things about them. what's some stuff that stood out to me? I mean, it's a bunch of stuff. Oh, so the book is called Spare, and it's in reference to the fact that he says that when Princess Diana gave birth to him as the youngest, the Prince Charles, then Prince Charles, now King Charles, said, "Oh, thanks, you giving me an heir, and now you've given me a spare." And he referenced, of course, Harry to being a spare, because as we know, William is next in line to be the king, and he will be in our lifetime. William will be the king. We will be alive. This generation will see him be the king, which is saying a lot. We will be able to see him be the king, and then after him will be his son. So Harry is at the very bottom of the list, based on the way the family works. So that's why he's, And so I thought that was interesting in the book that, they talk about how Harry was a wilder child. He did a lot of drugs back in the day, had a lot of that going on. He lost his virginity in a pub with some woman. That was also really weird. He found out about the death of his grandmother, which was Queen Elizabeth. He found out on BBC. Nobody actually called him and told him, which was really, really telling. Yeah, he left no crumbs in that book. Left no crumbs for the most part. Oh, he talked about going to war in Afghanistan. He killed 25 Taliban folks. 25. He killed 25 people. There was a lot going on in that book. The book is a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot of interesting stuff. Some stuff is TMI. But it's a good thorough read. It's a good juicy read. Very, very good book. My whole thing though, what I will say, overall, is that, I know what I was gonna say. Harry was the wild child, but William couldn't be the wild child because William was the next to the throne. So I always feel like William being the older brother, he had to be a little bit more mature. He couldn't fuck up in the same way that Harry did because of the fact that he was next in line. And he definitely aligned more with his father in the estate. I could see why that was the dynamic it was. Some people may not get it, but I definitely understand now why that dynamic is, more so when I read the book. Yeah, the book was, I walked away with having a lot of thoughts about my own relationship with family and siblings reading it. Just a very good book. Meghan Markle was a mess, y'all. Trip in a good way. She told him he could get his finger on her face, is what he said to her. She was not playing that, okay? It was tense up in there. Just saying. But what I will say about all of this, is that I do think that they're getting a little overexposed. I am feeling some type of way about them being overexposed. I am worried about that happening. I am thinking that it does feel like it is happening. And I think that it's part of the issue is that we see too much of that already in our stuff. We see too much of this political stuff happening, where they're getting so much media coverage, and it's to the point where I feel like, well, first of all, Great Britain can't stand them. I don't know if y'all know this, but I don't think I've talked about this enough, but I've been a paid correspondent on this British Great Britain news channel, GBN, I believe it's called. I'm on the Dan Wooden show, and I make like regular, like monthly appearances on the Dan Wooden show talking about the royal family and British and all this type of stuff. And I'm a national correspondent for them internationally. So their show plays in London, and I'm of course in the United States. But I make a lot of monthly appearances on this channel, and yeah, I get more TV appearances in Great Britain than I do in the United States. CNN, MSNBC, them girls don't call me, okay? But over there across the land, they sure do. So if I ever do international travel and they want to fly the girl out to London, I'll go down there for y'all because y'all show me love. Great Britain do show me love. And they definitely show a lot of love on the podcast. So to all of my Brits out there, I love you all. Thank you all for supporting the podcast. They're my second most listened to nation. Of course, the United States is number one, but Great Britain is actually number two. And a lot of it comes from my appearance on that show, and they promote the podcast. So thank you all. You know, we international with it. Um, but I want to thank you all for that. But I go on there a lot and talk, and one of the things I've realized that Great Britain, the British cannot stand them. They're getting over the Meghan Markle situation, and at first we could argue that a lot of it was about race, but I do think at this point, okay, y'all done had a documentary, y'all done had a book, y'all done had a couple of Netflix stuff. I'm good on it. Like I think after this tour, these interviews, I'm good on it. I don't know how many times you're gonna keep having to replay the story. Y'all done put y'all story out there. Y'all side of the story is out. Y'all done got y'all some checks. It's time to secure the bag and move forward. Period. Um, because I just think that it's not, I don't know. I just think that it's one of those things where it's I don't know how to put this. It's you get to the point where it begins to feel like a grift. I'm sorry, I'll just say it like that. It begins to feel like a grift. And I believe that they did get hurt. But it's time. Y'all secured the bag, but it's time to start moving forward. I do like Meghan Markle's podcast Archetypes. I think it's pretty dope. Listen to it if you haven't heard it. She's pretty good on there. She has some good interviews. I like to come on her podcast and talk about my book. But she's dope. And I actually talk about her in my book, actually. I talk about Meghan Markle in my book. So, yeah. All right. So there's that. Rolling Stone. I gotta talk about my boo. I write for them. We got some things coming up. And other than that, I'm gonna keep it cute. This list about the 200 greatest singers of all time has caused controversy. Celine Dion is not on the list. The list was all black in the top 10, which I loved. But people are in outrage. It was so much outrage that there was actually a protest of people protesting some of the issues, right? There was a list. It's called the 200 greatest singers of all time, and they did not have Celine Dion on the list. Now, what's interesting, Rosalia was at number 200, because I know y'all messy want to know who was number 200. They put Rosalia on the list at 200. But Celine Dion wasn't on the list at all. So, I was feeling some type of way when I heard this. I will tell you who are in the top 10, because I was focused on that list. So, number 10 is Al Green. Number 9 is Otis Redding, which is iconic. Number 8 is Beyonce. Number 7 is Stevie Wonder. Number 6 is Ray Charles. Number 5 is Mariah Carey. Number 4 is Billie Holiday. Number 3 is Sam Cooke. Number 2 is Whitney Houston. And number 1 is Aretha Franklin, the Queen of Soul. Solid top 10. I'm going to focus on that top 10. Beautiful top 10. Beautiful top 10. And accurate as fuck, that top 10. But after that, it gets a little weird. And people have been focusing on the fact that Celine Dion wasn't on there, that Brandy was ranked low, which I agree. That Taylor Swift was ranked at like 101 or something like that. That Jasmine Sullivan was like ranked really low. I don't even know if she was on the list. Kelly Clarkson was ranked lower than Taylor Swift. I mean, it was weird. It was very weird. And I was just like, I don't know what happened. All I got to say is I saw the Celine Dion situation and I thought it was wild. And look, I think that sometimes that's what the whole point of these lists are for. To create havoc. To get you all pumped up. To get y'all in y'all bag. To get y'all in y'all feelings. To get y'all mad. I think that was part of the plan. You know what I'm saying? which is funny. So it's just weird to me that because I think part of it is like with these lists, you're gonna argue about the rankings, you argue about who is and who isn't. I think that's part of the fun of it, and you all gonna read it and click it. Um, but lists are subjective, right? Everybody's list is different. If I had that list, I would have put Phil Collins on it. I would have put Phil Collins higher. Personally, I like me some Phil Collins. He's one of my favorite singers. Why are we not talking about Phil Collins enough? Justice for Phil Collins. What about Michael Bolton? Okay, there's some good white male singers. Y'all want to play Justin Timberlake, but I don't hear y'all talking about Michael Bolton enough or Phil Collins. Studio. Oh, I love him. I really like that. Is my I love Phil Collins. And he easy lover. I love Easy Lover. Oh, I love his version. I know there's another guy and there's a group and all that, Genesis and that, and they're great too. But I just love Easy Lover. That is, I need to listen to that after this podcast. That's another good hit. What? Justice for Sarah McLachlan. Justice for Sarah McLachlan. Another fave. I'm just, there's other artists out there who got good vocals. I mean, I think, to be clear, is that singers and vocalists are different. So I don't know if this list was talking about singers in the sense of creativity, like the audibleness of them, or were they talking about vocals based on vocals? Because I think where I'm at now is that I'm no longer going to say the word singer anymore. I'm going to say vocalist when I'm talking, right? That's why we remember the Grammys like best pop vocal album, because they wanted people to understand that anybody can sing, but not everybody is a vocalist, right? Singing is just the art of just simply singing, And there is a singing, there's a singer. And singing is different. Not everybody can sing. Like Beyonce can sing, Aretha can sing, Al Green sang. But a lot of these people sing. Like Taylor Swift, she sings. She doesn't sing at all. And that's okay, right? We talked about that earlier. She sings. Beyonce sang. And there's a difference. Like Rihanna, there's moments where Rihanna tried to sing, like Love on the Brain. She tried. But that's not her talent. And that's okay. She's a singer, but she's not a singer. And she's not a vocalist. I wouldn't consider her to be a vocalist. And that's an important distinction. And I think sometimes we don't really talk enough about that. But I think this list has definitely woke me up to that reality of understanding that. So there's that. R. Kelly. Surviving R. Kelly. I know we still talking about Surviving R. Kelly. It's been 4 years later. Here we are. The third chapter, the third section or part 3 of this entire, they've had 3 sets. This came out this week. The grand finale. They're not doing any more Surviving R. Kelly's. The final third 2-part series of this 3. Well, let me clarify. So it's like 3 chapters. There was chapter 1, which was the big one that came out like around 2019. Then they did one again in 2022, I think, or 2021, or maybe early 2022. They did another one that followed up after what happened. And then they did another one that just came out this week that was the aftermath of his convictions. So they're done with them. They said this was the final installation. It was beautiful. Kenyette Barnes and the Mute R. Kelly co-founders were on there. It was a lot of nice cameos and appearances. But it was a great way to end it. I mean, great way to end it in the sense of the fact that they took it on. But it was deep. This last one broke my heart. They talk about Aaliyah, who's also a Capricorn. Her birthday is coming up. Aaliyah, R.I.P. They didn't talk about. They talked about Aaliyah this time, as one of the conversations. And one of the things that we find out is now it makes so much sense why Aaliyah's family, the Houghton family, did not want to disclose or discuss a lot of the stuff that was going on, or her music, or they were really quiet about it all. Well, it comes out that they cut a deal with R. Kelly after the whole annulment and everything, that he would never talk to Aaliyah, and Aaliyah would never discuss it. and that they would own the masters to his first 3 albums. And that was the exchange they did for this. And Barry Hankerson, which is Aaliyah's uncle, who was her manager, he knew this was going on and still continued to be R. Kelly's manager after the fact. And yet they were, even though Aaliyah and R. Kelly was separated, they still did. It seems like the family, including her mother, which is even disappointing, they cut this private deal and got their money and did what they did. And it just looked like Aaliyah did not have no really good people in her life from her family and people that exploited her. And it was disgusting. And this comes out in this documentary. I'm like, so that makes so much sense why it was so much about re-releasing her music and this, that, and the third. I mean, this girl had a lot of behind-the-scenes pain and betrayal. And she was a young teen star. And at the time when she was dealing with R. Kelly, and this all was happening, and her own uncle is basically hustling off of all of this. It was disgusting. That was definitely a standalone shocker. But if you haven't watched it, DVR it, check it out. It's pretty good. As far as movies go, Women Talking, I watched it with my homegirl Laura Schwartz. We got an advanced screening. We saw it. I saw it before it came out. It's coming out later this month. Watch it. I highly recommend it. It's fascinating. It's been getting some Oscar buzz. I think it could win the Academy Award for Best Adapted Screenplay, potentially. It does have that. It's directed by a woman named Sarah Polley. She might get a Best Director Oscar nomination, which would be dope. Potentially, she could. 3 women have won the Academy Award for Best Director for 3 different movies. I think about, Catherine Bigelow, who did The Hurt Locker, the first woman of color to ever win for Nomadland a couple years later. And then last year, we saw Jane Campion win for The Power of the Dog. 3 women have won. 2 women won back to back. Nomadland that year, then The Power of the Dog. Women directing is happening. Okay, women talking, but women directing. So I really was impressed with this film. Very, very interesting film. Great ensemble cast across the board. Really liked it. I also saw She Said finally. So She Said is that Harvey Weinstein film about the 2 women journalists at the New York Times who covers the Harvey Weinstein sex scandals and everything. It's now available on Peacock. So if you have Peacock, you can watch it for free. And then I also rewatched The Menu. I saw it a while back, but my homegirl Amanda was like talking about it again. I was like, oh, you watched it? Okay. Because I was going to talk about it, and then I was like, well, no one's seen it. I didn't think no one was going to see it, actually. It was really weird. It had a weird release schedule, but people are watching it. It's on HBO Max. That's a fun movie. Ralph Fiennes is delightful. Anna Taylor-Joy is funny in there. That guy, it's Hoist or something. He's a great actor too. It was a lot of great cameos, and a lot of great acting. I can't describe it to you. It's weird. It goes there. It's like really bizarre. I'll just put it this way. A bunch of rich ass people go on a trip to an exquisite dinner tasting experience that blows their mind and takes them for a loop. Literally. That's all I can say. You need to watch it. It's on HBO Max. Highly recommended. It's called The Menu. It just came out. And then I also watched another film called Megan. Yes, I went and saw Megan because it's directed by a Black woman. I don't know what the hell that was. It was weird. It was like, what is going on? But I definitely think a lot of people will be dressing up like Megan for Halloween later this year. That's all I can say about it. It's just, I don't know what I watched. I kind of was like, what the hell did I just watch? And I hope y'all watch it. I see y'all still out here watching Avatar. I see y'all watching Avatar Way of Water. Y'all catching up. Y'all like it. Y'all know y'all do. I loved it. Listen, I live for it. So, Golden Globes are this week. It's on my mother's birthday, which is January 10th. And y'all are asking me, what are my predictions? Y'all know I love award shows. More on that later. So, I'm going to just go down the list and tell you who I think's going to win. So real quick, because I know I don't want to go too much into the movies. I'm just gonna tell you who I think is gonna win. All right. So best picture drama: Avatar, The Way of Water, Elvis, The Fablemans, Tar, Top Gun, Maverick. Yeah, I don't know. It could be any of them. I can see The Fablemans winning though. That's my prediction. The Fablemans. All right. Best picture: musical comedy: Babylon, The Banshees of Inisherin. Everything Everywhere All at Once, Glass Onion, A Knives Out Mystery, which is really good. Triangle of Sadness. It's tough. It's either gonna be between Everything Everywhere All at Once or The Banshees of Inisherin. I'm gonna say The Banshees of Inisherin because I think that it got the most nominations. But then again, it could go to Everything All at Once, Everywhere All at Once. I don't know. Flip a coin. It's gonna be one of those two. Best Actress Motion Picture Drama: Kate Blanchett, Tar, Olivia Colman, Empire of Light, Viola Davis, The Woman King, Ana de Armas, Blonde, Michelle Williams, The Fableman. Kate Blanchett, Tar, hands down. It ain't going nobody else. If it do, I'll be shocked. This is Kate Blanchett's to lose. Best Actor, Motion Picture Drama: Austin Butler, Elvis, Brendan Fraser, The Well, Hugh Jackman, The Son, Bill Nye, Living, Jeremy Pope, The Inspection. Oh, this is tough. I can see it going to Austin Butler for Elvis, but Brendan Fraser should get it. But I'm going to tell you the reason why I'm not sure about Brendan Fraser is because he is not going to the Golden Globes. He's boycotting because he accused one of the presidents of the institution of groping him many years ago, and there's still tension there. So I don't know if voters will go his way or not. The fact that he got the nomination is pretty good. If I was a betting man, I would say Austin Butler, though, because Elvis has more nominations. But I could be wrong. All right, Best Actress, Motion Picture Musical Comedy. You got Leslie Mansville, Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris, Margot Robbie for Babylon, Anna Taylor-Joy, The Menu, Emma Thompson, Good Luck Rio Grande, or yeah, Michelle Yeoh, Everything Everywhere All at Once. I'm going to give this to Michelle Yeoh. She is definitely taking this award, and she should. Best Actor, Motion Picture Musical Comedy: Diego Calva for Babylon, Daniel Craig for Glass Onion, A Knives Out Mystery, Adam Driver for White Noise, Colin Farrell for The Banshees of Inisherin, Ralph Fiennes for The Menu. I know Amanda's hearing this right now being like, see The Menu in these nominations, but they're not going to win anything, girl. Love them, though. The winner is Colin Farrell for The Banshees of Inisherin. Expect Colin Farrell to go up here and accept his speech. He's won in this category before. They like him. I see it happening. Now, Best Supporting Actress Motion Picture: Angela Bassett for Wakanda Forever, Carrie Condon for The Banshees of Inisherin, Jamie Lee Curtis for Everything Everywhere All at Once, Dolly De Leon for Triangle of Sadness, and Carey Mulligan for She Said. This is complicated. I'm seeing a three-way tie. Not a real tie, but I think it could go three ways. I've been hearing buzz about Angela Bassett. I would not be surprised if Angela Bassett wins. I think the person that could win is Carrie Condon. I think she's the front runner in my head. Carrie Condon for The Banshees of Inisherin. But Jamie Lee, don't sleep on Jamie Lee Curtis, though, because she typically pulls a surprise win, even though I don't think her performance in this is strong. I think Stephanie Hisu in Everything Everywhere All and should have been nominated over her. But everyone loves Jamie Lee Curtis, and everybody wants her to get an Oscar nomination finally. So it could be either of those three. One of those three are going to win. But if I was betting, I would say Carrie Condon. But don't sleep on those three. Best Supporting Actor Motion Picture: Brendan Gleeson for The Banshees of Inisherin, Barry Keoghan for The Banshees of Inisherin. And I'm saying Inisherin like that because that's exactly how you say it. I know it sounds weird, but that's how it's pronounced. Brad Pitt for Babylon, Ke Huy Quan for Everything Everywhere All at Once, and Eddie Redmayne for The Good Nurse. Good Nurse was a cute movie. Eddie's not getting it. This is going to be between Brandon Gleeson and Ke Huy Quan for Everything Everywhere All at Once. Now, Ke Huy Quan for Everything All at Once has won everything under the sun. So I don't put that past him. I think he's going to win. But don't be surprised if Brandon Gleeson gets it. Now, Best Director: James Cameron for Avatar, The Way of Water, Daniel Scheinert and Daniel Kwan for Everything Everywhere All at Once, Baz Luhrmann for Elvis, Martin McDonagh for The Banshees of Inisherin, and Steven Spielberg for The Fabelmans. I don't know. It could go various ways. But knowing that the Golden Globes like A-listers in Hollywood, I can see them going for Steven Spielberg. Best Screenplay, I'm not giving you all the nominees, but if I was a betting man, it's going to go to Daniel Sherm and Daniel Kwan for Everything Everywhere All at Once. Best Animated Picture, I'm not naming all of them, but I think this is easy. It's going to be Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, which is on Netflix. Please watch it. It's incredible. As far as Best Picture non-English language, which used to be foreign language film, I'm mad that EO was not in there, but if I was to pick, I think All Quiet on the Western Front's going to win that one. But then again, Decision to Leave could win. It could be anyway, actually. Best Score, it could be Justin Hurwitz for Babylon, or it could be Hildur Gonter. I cannot pronounce her last name, but she also does good stuff. It could go various ways as well in that category for those films. I can see it going various ways because Tar had a good score. We'll see. Best song motion picture. I'm going to say it would be nice to see Rihanna win for Wakanda Forever for Lift Me Up. Ryan Coogler, Timms, and Rihanna, and Ludwig. I mean, I could just see them all going up there and winning for best song. I think that'd be cute. I think that would be the win we want. But Taylor Swift is nominated for Carolina. Don't see that happening, but cute song, but not gonna win. Gaga for Top Gun Maverick, Hold My Hand. I don't see it, but she'll get nominated again. RRR, I've heard good things, but I think this is Rihanna's to lose. Best Drama Series. This is television. I'm just gonna name who I think's gonna win. If I was a betting man, I would say The Crown. You got Better Call Saul. You got House of the Dragon, Ozark, you got Severance. I think they're gonna go with The Crown. Best Musical Comedy Series. You got The Bear, Abbott Elementary, Hacks, Only Murders in the Building, and Wednesday. This is weird. I don't know. It's too early. I think they're going to go for Abbott, though. I think Abbott's going to pull it out, but they're all pretty good damn shows, so it's going to be hard to tell. Best Limited Series, you have The White Lotus, you have Pam and Tommy, The Dropout, Dahmer, and Blackbird. I think the White Lotus might get that. Best Actress in Limited Series, Jessica Chastain, Julia Garner, Lily James, Julia Roberts, Amanda Seyfried. I think Amanda Seyfried, but Amanda Seyfried is going to get it for The Dropout. Yeah, but Julie Gardner might give her a run for her money. But I think that's the safe choice there. Best Actor for a Limited Television Series. They're all white men, honestly, and I don't really know. I don't know. I can see Evan Peters getting it for Dahmer, but Andrew Garfield is very likable as well. Best Television Series Drama Actress, you got Zendaya, you got Emma D'Arcy, you got Hilary Swank, you got Imelda Staunton, you got Laura Linney. I mean, it would be nice to see Zendaya get a Golden Globe. Period. Best Television Actor in a Drama, I feel like, again, he's a bunch of white guys except for Diego Luna. I don't know. I mean, I can see Jeff Bridges or Kevin Costner. I don't know. It's a toss up. It's too early. Best Actress in a Comedy Series, you got Jean Smart, you got Jenny Ortega, you got Selena Gomez, you got Kaylee Coco, you got Quinetta Brunson. I mean, it would be cool to see Quinetta get this, but I can also see Jenny Ortega shocking folks with Wednesday. But then you got Selena Gomez too, and I feel like they might get Starfucky and pick her. Still a hard hand. Best Television Actor is Jeremy Allen White for The Bear, Martin Short and Steve Martin for The Neighbors. You got Bill Hader for Barry. You got Donald Glover for Atlanta. I will probably say Jeremy Allen White for The Bear. Best Supporting Actress, Television Limited Series. You got Jennifer Coolidge for The White Lotus, Claire Danes. You got Daisy Edgar Jones, Audrey Plaza for The White Lotus, and then Niecy Nash Betts. I would say Jennifer Coolidge, but I could also see Niecy Nash getting it. Because I've heard raves, but don't sleep on Jennifer Coolidge. Best Supporting Actor, you got Seth Rogen, you got Richard Jenkins, you got Paul Walter Hauser, you got Domhnall Gleeson, you got F. Murray Abraham. I mean, I don't know. This again, just very bland, no diversity. Um, mm, mm, mm. Maybe Paul Walter Hauser or F. Murray Abraham, maybe for those roles, maybe. Now this was a tough one. Best Supporting Actress television series. You have Janelle James, you have Shirley Ralph, you got Julia Garner again for Ozark, you got Elizabeth Debicki for The Crown, and Hannah Innenbinder. It's gonna be between Janelle James and Shirley Ralph. I can see it going either way. I personally like Janelle James to just pull that upset, but I wouldn't be surprised if Shirley Ralph gets it. It's gonna be between those two for me. Best Supporting Actor in a Television Series, you got Henry Winkler, you got Tyler James Williams, you got John Turturro, you got Jonathan Pryce, and you got John Lithgow. It's either going to be Jonathan Pryce or John Lithgow. I just think The Crown cannot be denied. And then last but not least, the Cecil B. DeMille Award will be going to Eddie Murphy, which is pretty good. And also the Carol Burnett Award is going to Ryan Murphy, which is no comment. So that's that on Golden Globes. As far as TV shows go, I've been watching a lot of TV. Gonna make it quick and make it brief. This podcast has been epically long, but you know, you miss me. Baddies West on Zeus. Love it. Crazy in Love with Christian and Blueface fighting. Hating it, watching it, conflicted on it. I have so many thoughts. Been loving hip hop family reunion. I've been watching on VH1 every Monday religiously. I'm enjoying this cohort more than the previous cohort of all these shows. It's interesting because I'm not seeing. I mean, Love and Hip Hop has definitely evolved as a show. It's not as spicy and hot as it used to be, but I think we all have grown past that. But it's still entertaining and fun because I know the characters or aka these celebrities. And so I do find watching them to just be sheer entertainment. And also just like following them. It's just comfort and it's familiar. This show on there on VH1 after Love and Hip Hop on Mondays is called The Impact ATL. The first episode came on. I know it was on BT Plus, but they put on VH1 and I'm watching it on VH1. I'm feeling it. It's the first episode. I'm trying to figure out if it's hot or if it's not. It's giving hot, but it could be not. Basically they're following these black influencers who are in Atlanta. The funny thing is I don't think any of them are actually from Atlanta, but they live there now. And they're talking about this lifestyle they're living, and they're trying to really act like they're like these, like, it's giving me the nostalgic early 2000s type of like debutante celebrity type, you know, Vanity Fair energy. And I'm like, you know, the Paris Hilton surreal life energy. I'm like, but we're past that excessive life. But they're still trying to put that on. I'm just like, you guys are enough. But it's entertaining though. And there's some really good, interesting people on there. Lil Baby's ex-girlfriend is on there. Her name is Jada Wade or whatever. Couple of female rappers. This guy who does everyone's hair is on there. It's an interesting show. It's interesting so far. Abbott Elementary came back and is still funny as fuck. Love that show. Can't get enough of it. Still so addicted. One show I'm not watching and stop asking about it is The Real Friends of West Hollywood. I'm not watching that shit. Todrick Hall, pay your talent. Pay all those talent. With this check Todrick Hall getting, I hope he pays all those dancers and folks that allegedly he was skipping on. And he's friends with Taylor Swift. I hope Taylor Swift gave him some coins too, because he needs some help. I'm not a fan of this show. I think the show is corny. I don't think no one asks for it. And it's on MTV, for crying out loud. Like, MTV does not produce good reality TV since, I mean, they've been like since Laguna Beach. I think they haven't been good since Laguna Beach. So that's my thoughts on them. I don't find them at all amusing, to be real with you. I don't know. I just think it's that first of all, the whole reality Real Housewives lifestyle. I mean, Potomac has definitely resurrected the brand, But a lot of these shows, I feel like we're slowly edging out of that. So for them to try to bring this into play, it's like, this is late. You should have been did this shit. You guys are a day late and $1 short. So that's how I feel about TV. So before I wrap up this podcast, I was debating, do I want to tell this? Do I want to tell it now? And I'm like, it's 100 episodes. So I think it's right for me to reveal this secret, because I've been keeping a secret from you all. Now, I've been hinting at this a little bit in previous episodes, but I think how I want to do this is this way. Now, you all got to keep it like a little secret. So I'm only telling you all on this podcast this. I'm not telling anyone else this until I am on location in February. But I will tell you all this. I will be attending the Grammys. Yes, I'm going to the Grammys on February. The Grammys are February 5th. I will be attending the Grammy Awards. I am have had the honor of, I'm in consideration to be a member of the Recording Academy. I am technically a recording artist now, based on my work on doing my audiobook. And I am in that process of becoming a member of the Recording Academy. And in the process of doing that, I've been nominated by members of the Academy to be a member of the Recording Academy. And so I've had the pleasure of a good friend of mine who is helping me with this process. And one of the things that I was invited to attend the Grammys and all the festivities. So I'll be going to LA February 3rd, that Friday, and I'll be there till the 6th. So I'll be spending Grammy weekend. I'll be going to the parties, the brunches, the after parties, all that stuff, and the awards themselves in some good seats. And I'll be there, and I will be recording my podcast in LA. I think I'm going to do a special edition episode that will be specifically for the Grammy situation, because I think that the moments and memories and the tea that I'm going to probably be getting will just eat up the entire episode. So I'm going to have a special edition episode, and you all will know. So we will be there live. We'll be in person. I'm going to the Grammys. I'm super excited about this. I have clothes. My lovely mother helped me get my wardrobe. My Christmas gift was the wardrobe, and I couldn't say anything at the time, but I have some badass shoes and some outfits I'm going to be wearing all 3 days. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, there's going to be nonstop events. And I'm just getting myself in preparation and ready for that. But I'm super excited. Shout out to the Recording Academy for this experience. I need to be in person to see Beyonce win Album of the Year. I in my heart hope that it happens. I think it was manifest destiny that two Histonians, people from Elsik High School in the same space, she winning me. It's meant for me to be there. This is destiny, and I need to be in the room when this woman wins this award, because Lord knows that she's been long overdue for Album of the Year, and I think it's going to happen. And I can't wait to see the celebrities. Like, I know I'm going to bump into some famous people. I know I'm definitely going to be at the after party. I know it's going to be lit. I'm going to some very official things, which I'm excited about. I'm going to be definitely seeing some folks and trying not to go to jail, because if I see some, I don't know. I'm just, I'm teasing first of all, but oh my God, like, what if I see her? Like, what if I come in her presence, like the Queen's presence? Like, what if I see Beyonce, like, face to face? Like, it's probably not going to happen. But if it does, like, I don't know how I'm still trying to, in my mind, like, make sense of that. There's so many people that's going to be there. So I'm excited. I will keep you all posted. But it's looking like 2023 is going to be another fabulous year. And I hope you all are having fabulous things happen in your life and doing great things. And I'm so happy that you took the time to listen to this podcast. And as always, be well and be best. Ernestly Speaking is recorded in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and can be found on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. To stay up to date with the latest on the show, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Mr. Ernest Owens. Use the hashtag Ernestly Speaking to tell me what you thought about this episode, and check out my website at ernestowens.com.